Welcome to the Out There channel, live stream 356. We've got Robert and Charles here to talk about UFO news, TTSA, and politics of ufology, I guess, and UFO cases over this time. Anyway, let's just check out a few things here. How's the audio sounding out there, guys? CPU is working better than it used to, but I'll just keep doing what I used to do. We know it's going to be flawless then, hopefully.
So we get one tonight.
Yeah, it'd be good to see some side chatters. Not sure why they're scared of Twitch. It's a wee bit different than YouTube, but it's not that bad once you get used to the layout. It's not as friendly, I don't think, but everything's on the About tab. If you want to chat on the side, you need to follow me first. So hello, good to be back. Okay, I'll be back. You can't get rid of us that easy. I know the haters out there want to. Certainly put lots of lies about us, trying to put strikes on us. Be good in the side chat. No hardcore swearing. Keep it PG as much as we can. Yeah, just have some fun and don't self-promote. I think you can't even on Twitch like you can on YouTube. You can post links and stuff if we allow it. But yeah, we've got a lot more control on Twitch than we have on YouTube. So there's a lot of benefits being on Twitch. It's less clamped down, but more control. It's got an auto bot. Takes a lot of the work away from the mods. Just minimize that. So yeah, we got 5 viewers, it reckons. Good stuff. So I'll just type up the side message. Unfortunately, the chat I think needs a bit more work than it does on YouTube, because it doesn't show past comments like YouTube does, which is a bit of a shame. Comes in blank all the time, even though there are people sitting there chatting. Okay, so it's welcome.
There's 400 watching.
Yeah, anyway, never mind. Let's get on with the show. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'm just typing up the side comment here, and then I'll let you go. And
okay,
just the usual thing that we do. Live stream 356. Now, what I do is I save the chat from Twitch and post it as a comment on the uploads later with all the links. So watch out for that if we post links and promoting other sites via the comment. So it's a wee bit different than YouTube, but maybe it's better in a way. So we got Sunday UFO topics, news, and cases with Robert and Co. There we go. That'll do. I think I got it all right. Can be if you want be. So Robert, over to you, man.
Yes, Exodus.
Hi, Tommy.
Louise Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, and Steve Justice have left TTSA, and that's the big news of the week. Now, I kind of see that as a positive thing, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. I do think it's positive. It's a good move on their behalf, I think, because people will take them more seriously now.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom DeLonge, come on. Hal Puthoff, Eric Davis, and all that connection. That's gone now, and their silly pseudoscience. I think it's good they're not associated with that anymore.
Well,
But
do they
I
need?
have a link.
Although they do need a good scientist on their team, so they have to build it up again, don't they? So
yeah, you know who they've teamed up with now, don't you? Well, this is the rumor mill, Paul, but I'm sure it's
not MUFON.
No, good God, no. James Fox.
Oh no, surely not.
Yes, obviously they're going to do a documentary.
Oh.
Yeah, a new one.
They're all doing documentaries now.
So it's a long-term project.
That's to make the money, of course, isn't it?
Well, as long as it's good content, doesn't matter if there's money involved or not. Of course, if TTSA and that lot ever did have an ulterior motive, it was always going to be they were making a few pounds out of it, you know?
Yeah. But
I think they're actually quite genuine about getting the truth out. I really do. I don't see it as any kind of psyop like some people are suggesting. Yeah, so who's here? Tommy. We got Tommy's here. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I've got a link here which goes over it quite nicely. And of course, there was some other news as well that there's been like some kind of, sorry about this, the dog is being a real pain at the moment.
Don't worry about the dog. Don't worry.
Yeah, you can probably hear the sound though.
Don't worry.
Okay, I'll leave a message. I'll leave a link for you here, sorry. Yeah, it's like this, Ren. It explains it maybe better than I can. Also seems to be some kind of breakthrough in physics that the Navy claim to have made, but it's very suspicious.
Yep, I'm always suspicious about breakthroughs.
Project Unity.
Yeah, we've noticed this. The player seems to be slow.
It's well worth subbing to these guys because they're pretty much on top of the news and what's going on, you know. Oh my God, Susan's here.
Oh my God.
Yes, the dog's back, Susan. Yeah. Yes, they got him back.
Well, hi, Susan.
It wouldn't be the Christmas if he didn't lose his dog. As far as I've known, Rob, he's lost it every Christmas.
No, but this was a really silly one. My ex-girlfriend took it in her head that she could just let the dog out into the garden without informing me. And after I've told her a million times, you know, the guy's an escapologist. He gets out, he runs away, and she still done it. She was drunk, wasn't she? Silly moo.
Drunk?
No way. Anyway,
unlike himself.
Drunk as an alien. Okay, so I suppose it's got an intro, so we might need to skip.
Not really, not much. Maybe 5 seconds, Paul.
Oh, right. It's just caused a problem with these guys at the same time. Normally when that happens, I'll just have to reset the mixer just in case.
Yeah, because...
it's looking alright. Are we back?
Yeah.
Alright, sounds alright at this end. Let us know if there's any crackle out there, guys, that are listening on Twitch at the moment. Is it loud enough is the question? Okay. Might have to amp it up if not.
Hey everyone, Jay here from Project Unity, bringing you another UAP news video.
Looks good here.
The purpose of this series is to provide those who do not use multiple social media platforms with an opportunity to get the same information as those that do. The biggest news story right now is the departure of Luis Elizondo, Christopher Mellon, and Steve Justice as board and staff members of To The Stars Academy of Arts and Science. In a recent interview with Lou Elizondo, conducted by George Knapp on the platform Coast to Coast AM, Lou drops the first hints that he is no longer a board member or staff member at To The Stars Academy.
What's going on with TTSA? There's these rumors floating around that an announcement is coming in January that's going to shake things up a bit. Is there what if anything can you say about it?
Well, I can't speak for TTSA. You'd have to go through TTSA channels to ask them about TTSA. And I'll tell you from my perspective, look, I love my friends at TTSA. They're incredible human beings. But I also have to say, my mission has always been very clear, George, and that was to push disclosure forward. That's it. And I think after 3 years, I can look back and I think we've achieved much of what we've set out to do. TTSA, it's no secret, also focuses on its entertainment division. And, let's face it, guys like Chris Mellon and Steve Justice and myself, we're not entertainers. We're not. So very much like the History Channel project, we have accomplished our mission success. We have done more in 3 years collectively than I think anybody really expected us to achieve. Now it's time, I think, we shift from, it's like a car, right? I speak in car talk. I'm kind of a gearhead. So I think the time has come we shift from the proverbial first gear to now second gear. We have enough momentum, enough inertia where we can shift gears and continue moving forward. And to do that, guys like me are looking at new and exciting ways to expand the conversation to an even larger audience while still staying true to our core mission of disclosure.
Confirmation was received via the platform MysteryWire.com and independently confirmed by Danny Silver of the Silver Record that Christopher Mellon, Steve Justice and Luis Elizondo have indeed all left To The Stars Academy with the intention of moving, as Lou described it, into second gear. And it seems they have set their sights on the international engagement after an apparent mission success in the American arena. It is now, according to Lou, time to go global. But what does this mean for Tom DeLonge and To The Stars Academy? And what does this mean for the investors of the self-proclaimed Public Benefit Corporation? It seems quite a few people are happy with the progress TTSA has made and now consider their investment as more of a donation towards a cause. But there are others who are extremely disgruntled by this sudden announcement, and the question now is, will To The Stars Academy survive this most recent exodus of its key players? It goes without saying that Chris, Lou and Steve would have made Tom aware of this decision prior to pulling the trigger, and I would argue that this is likely a well thought out decision by all of those involved. To The Stars Academy has been the primary catalyst for all of the announcements and changes we have seen take place within the UFO conversation since the first New York Times article dropped in December of 2017. And we truly do have Tom DeLonge to thank for his passion and persistence in getting the groundwork done with his tireless networking and eventual creation of a platform that allowed some of the most highly credentialed individuals within the US defense intelligence bureaucracy to emerge from the shadows and assist in the effort for transparency. So no matter what happens with To The Stars Academy after this recent change, I think we should all be extremely grateful to Tom for having the scope of vision to bring something like this into the world, and I sincerely hope to see To The Stars Academy continue on despite this most recent decision by Lou, Chris and Steve. Next up, we have a new platform created by Twitter user and UFO researcher Joel. The platform UAPresearch.com contains a wide variety of articles and data drops as they pertain to the UAP issue, and I, alongside other researchers and content creators, have signed up to be contributors to the UAP research platform. You can find links to my content and others on the website alongside Joel's own articles, interviews and research. It's an emerging platform that is beginning to gain more popularity, and I would encourage those who have not done so yet to check out uapresearch.com, a link for which can be found in the description box below. Next up, after some radio silence regarding the mysterious patents of a one Dr. Salvatore Pay, a brand new article has surfaced written by Brett Tingley highlighting this series.
Yeah, so it's moving on to another subject now, but just to discuss here. Now, I suppose there's a lot of disgruntled people that they've left. And, what a TTSA going to do now? Is that going to collapse in a heap now? Is it going to be disbanded? Are they going to go on with their own effort for disclosure? I don't know. Nobody really knows. Nothing seems to be coming out from the TTSA. There's no announcement that I've seen. So I think they're in deep trouble now, because I always thought that Lou and Mellon were the outstanding players in that team. And now they've gone. I don't know where that leaves them, to be honest. Your thoughts on that, guys?
I noticed they pointed out they're not entertainers, and that always brings to mind those other frauds online that they're sort of referring to. They are entertainers, and they're not serious. And there's kind of a bit of a battle with Dave Scott and Gufon at the moment, with some of the key people in industry there on the UFO topic. You got UFO Joe.
Joe Mergia.
Who's now left their panel. Left their panel because Gufon insulted the hell out of everybody. And he said he won't go back.
Okay, let's not turn this now. Let's not turn this now into something negative, Paul. What we're talking about here.
Oh, that is positive. That's really positive. These guys are now starting to wake up to the negative stuff that we deal with.
That is a good thing. It's not just Joe Mergia that's left them. William Poulin's left them. I don't think Chris Cogswell has much to do with them anymore.
But once one leaves and shows the others what's going on, they too decide to get their marching shoes on, and once they get onto the serious people, they actually do know something and get away from those entertainers who make money from the woo-woo, and rather than focuses on the serious topic of finding actually the truth and the science behind all of that sort of stuff, and needs to be focused on better than it is at the moment. So you need people with qualifications, really, not just I've been doing this for 20 years, I know what I'm doing. Doesn't sort of work that way. Technology keeps changing, and so does UFOs technology as well. So you got to always have a new mindset on things.
But I agree that TTSA. I think what they need is somebody that's a good UFO historian, because they've made some silly slip-ups in the past. Because they didn't have anybody like that on the team. I think they also need a good scientist as well. Maybe not someone who comes from a UFO background, somebody looking at it with a fresh pair of eyes, basically. And I think there's no reason why they can't achieve those goals and move on. And I mean, I think full disclosure is. I think that's a little bit of a myth and an oxymoron, really.
Yeah, everybody keeps saying it's coming, it's coming.
Yeah, I know, but we have come already a long way in the last few years, and I don't see why we can't keep taking steps further towards a full disclosure. It's a process. It's not an event. That's the key thing.
If they got the money behind it, there's no reason they can't build sky watching hubs that have serious people behind it.
Yeah, the Sky Hub is already independently going, so they need to have, they need to have.
I think they need to make something better than that.
Well, yeah, of course, but it's a work in progress, Paul. And SCU is doing a good job. They've got plenty of scientists on their board. So I think things are looking a hell of a lot better than what they were in the middle of 2017.
But what I'm saying is you can cut out the government if you need to for disclosure if you've got your own evidence caught on multiple devices and radar and all that. If you've got all that sort of together in one package, you can present it and say, here we go, we got these UFOs flying overhead, or TR-3Bs, or whatever you want to call it. So technology is getting cheaper and more affordable, and the phones are getting more megapixels, but unfortunately megapixels doesn't mean decent lenses. We need optical lenses on all the murk out there that people are using. It will come. Eventually the technology might give us more answers, right? And we can get rid of all those balloons and lens flare nonsense out there eventually, because the roll and shutter effect will be gone as well, which will help a lot. And yeah, that's my side of stuff. You know, I keep an eye on all that sort of stuff that's going on in the technology side of things, understanding the technology.
Yeah, technology is getting cheaper because of China, isn't it? Pushing the boundaries.
Maybe, although we got a bit of a conflict on that side of things. Yeah, I think they want to get away from that, though. That's the problem. They've given too much power to China, and they can turn off the technology flow just like that, right? So they're going to put more back into Silicon Valley again, I think, in the USA at least. Other countries might even build factories to make the chips. It used to be also Japan, and of course that got a problem when they had the tsunami, and of course you might remember memory chips and hard drives sort of price rocketed upwards, like doubled in price. It was like gold bars, you know. So yeah, getting the right people together now, maybe, who knows, in the group.
Well, I think the nucleus of the team is really that. I think Christopher Mellon is the one that's pulling more strings than anybody else. To be honest,
as long as he's pulling the right strings.
Yeah. Well, listen. I'm telling you now that he's achieved a hell of a lot.
Yeah.
He's the one that got those 3 videos out.
Yeah.
Which we're still talking about today, controversial as it may be. But no, yeah, sure. Team up with James Fox, do a documentary. The other thing they're doing is collaborating with other countries. 2 countries in Europe apparently have come on side with them, as well as several in Latin America. So that's interesting. Now, I don't know who those 2 countries are. He won't say, but one of them guaranteed will be France. Guaranteed one of, because they've always been open on the UFO subject. Now, I wonder if the other one's the UK. I wonder. I don't know. I hope so, but it could easily be Italy as well, you know.
Thought I saw the name Nick Pope pop up last night on some of that stuff.
Oh, yeah, well, he pops up all the time as a talking head, doesn't he? But no, I haven't seen that, Paul. But yeah, I really hope the UK are getting involved with this.
No, I did see his name pop up on the side of that TTSA group on Facebook. Is that the same group, or is that the old group?
Okay. I don't
think
know.
it's the old. Is it the old group there, not the new group? I know it's got. It's got Jack's Safari, or whatever his name is. Some sort of scientist that believes in lots of strange stuff too. But yeah, he sort of attacked me because I posted in the wrong section. I thought that's kind of nasty way he was behaving.
Who attacked you?
Jack Safari, Fati as I call him.
Oh yeah, I know you mean. I know.
Yeah, he comes from the DARPA side of things, so he's probably dangerous, according to other people. Anyway, won't mention names. People are really skeptical of people that work in these black ops projects, right? What their motives are. It's hard to know who's the disinformation agents in these groups.
Yeah.
You know, the Dotties. Richard Doty's out there, you know. Do you think any one of them are shills or disinformation agents, as the entertainers claim?
Well, of course, there's no question about that. We know for a fact that, well, 2 we can name, you know, in stone, Philip Klass and Richard Doty, and they were paid to do what they did. Yeah, so you know, don't tell me that there isn't somebody else around that's not involved with that.
So the claims made by certain people is Tim McMillan's a shill.
I don't believe he is, personally.
Mellon's a shill. Who is the other people?
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is. There's absolutely no evidence of that whatsoever. None at all.
We were a bit suspicious of him to start with because there was some people talking about it, you know.
Paul, everybody was. If you come from an intelligence background, then you're going to be a little bit suspicious. I was highly suspicious for a long time. But now I've kind of gone the other way, and I think the only ulterior motive they have is trying to make some money at the same time.
Yeah, like Greer.
Oh, no, don't compare them to him.
I know.
Good God,
I know.
man.
Biggest con artist out in fraud.
Yeah, exactly.
And guess who's working with Greer at the moment? You know who's working with Greer at the moment? The Dream Team. Dave Scott, Goof on Radio.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No, they're bringing out a new documentary January the 16th, filmed with Blake Cousins, and they're going to be on it and all that sort of business, and they're going to be on Amazon Prime. You can pre-order it now if you want to.
Oh, I don't think so.
I put my rating on.
Oh,
and yeah. And a certain person, talking head, starting with G, reckons it's going to be like serious. It's a continuation of the movies. Oh, God.
I don't know how low you can get. Honestly, I just don't
this
know.
I can't understand why Amazon, a company like that, would allow them on there. I just can't allow it. I can't understand it. It's all just fake stuff.
Amazon don't care.
And Greer's like the same talking head where he keeps repeating the same boring stuff over and over again. Good aliens, disclosures coming soon, and all that sort of business, you know.
We've been doing that for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you've got to say at the same time, we're closer now than we have been for years.
Certainly more public, whether it's taken seriously still is another thing, you know.
Well, come on, obviously it is, Paul. Yeah, that UAP task force is spending millions of pounds of taxpayers' money to study basically UAP or UFO, whichever you want to call it.
Yeah, I'm talking about the public, the general public's taking it seriously.
Yes, but it's an openly known program. It's not the black world anymore, is it? That's a hell of an achievement in itself. That's a hell of a piece of progress.
Yeah,
because we were nowhere near that before. This is the first time since 1969 we've had an official UFO study. Although I think it's a kind of a microcosm, really, because apparently, from what I know, there's only 2 people actually running it. But they've got lots of people involved, and you know they've got all the testing equipment, you know, the photo analysis stuff, video analysis, all that's in place for them. But it's poorly funded, and there's not much in the way of staff, which kind of reminds me of Blue Book.
Well, yep. It could be a positive for 2021, maybe. We have to see how it develops. Certainly, the frauds out there are getting bigger and braver, which is a bad thing.
Well,
they are the true disinformation. They're the true disinformation, and they're going to cause more of us a problem with lots of noise. You know, you've seen some of the garbage that have been. What was the latest one they put out, which was a load of garbage? What was it now? We looked at it quickly yesterday. Come on, Charles, what was it?
Third
phase. What was the one we looked at yesterday? It was absolute garbage.
The volcano ones.
Volcano one. They're plugging the volcanoes ones now with Jamie Musan, or Jaime Musan, or whatever you want to call him. And
Yeah,
we know their planes and helicopters land in airports either side of the volcano. And they're still pushing the same old narrative that the UFOs are going in there for energy. Oh, God, it doesn't ever end, man. So if you ain't seen my episode yesterday, it was quite good. I thought we'd looked at crop circles, and I talked about the science, like how you could bend the stalks without cracking them and stuff like that. But who listens to us anyway? You know, what would we know? We only got degrees in science and all that sort of stuff.
Well, you might, I haven't.
Yeah, but you got critical thinking. You might not have 16 years, but you certainly got more IQ than most people out there, Charles. So that's the main thing. And of course, you can see things that they don't, which you've got the thinking. You know, you got the. I want to. You know, you've seen a real UFO, and you know what's not a real UFO when you see stuff now, and that's the key thing. Yeah. So yeah, we better get on to your next section, I guess, Robert.
The next section is about this new Navy technology. So yeah, let it run. But I'm highly suspicious of this proclamation.
This one here, Navy patents.
Just keep going.
The problem with patents, though, they're just like block diagrams, right? They don't actually tell you specifics of how it's meant to work. And there's plenty of patents out there that don't work. So anyone can put up a patent and claim things, but not everybody can actually go and build one from a patent because it's not actually a step-by-step how to build one.
This is where the problem lies.
We'll just carry on then.
Series of patents that pertain to novel propulsion and energy generation technologies with purported effects that mimic the capabilities of observed UAP in our skies.
I have covered this before.
When they were first mentioned in an article by Brett Tingley back in July 2019, when it was discovered that the United States Secretary of the Navy is listed as the assignee on several radical aviation technologies patented by an aerospace engineer working at the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division headquarters in Maryland. One of these patents describes a hybrid aerospace underwater craft claimed to be capable of truly extraordinary feats of speed and maneuverability in air, water, and outer space alike, thanks to a revolutionary electromagnetic propulsion system. The patents in question can actually be found on Google Patents under the name of a one Salvatore Cesar Pei, and the patents themselves include inventions such as a high-frequency gravitational wave generator, an electromagnetic field generator and the methods to generate an electromagnetic field, and even a craft using an inertial mass reduction device, meaning that the craft is able to reduce its weight through the manipulation of self-generated gravity. The assignees for these patents are, as previously mentioned, the United States is represented by the Secretary of the Navy, but another assignee is the defense contractor Northrop Grumman. Now, the most recent publication by Brett Tingley on this issue brings to light some evidence suggesting that these highly unconventional breakthrough technologies that are described within the patents went through significant internal review and actually resulted in a demo. If this is true, it's a big step towards legitimizing the technological claims put forward by inventor Salvatore Pei, because if these technologies resulted in a demonstration and they are still being pushed forward by the US Navy, then this could possibly be the first glimpse of the emergence in UFO-style technology that may be expected to become more prevalent in the coming years. Could the Navy possibly be gearing up to unveil the world's first publicly acknowledged electrogravitic platform? There has been a series of articles on thedrive.com regarding these patents and their inventor, Salvatore Pei, but with this coverage there has been somewhat of a backlash from the scientific community, most notably within the physics arena, regarding the actionability of these patents, with many people saying that these are more akin to science fiction than to real applicable sciences of our current time. This could of course be a case of merely stigma within mainstream academia, as these purported technologies by Salvatore Pei are indeed breakthrough paradigm-shifting technologies with effects and applications that challenge many current models in physics, and therefore will challenge many current mindsets within the scientific community. And so I think it's important to keep an open mind with this, but my own suspicion regarding this entire scenario with the exotic Navy patents is that if these are truly representative of a paradigm-shifting technology that can allow for multi-environment transmedium travel at potentially beyond the speed of light, you are essentially, from a military perspective, looking at the most exquisite intelligence-gathering, counter-intel, and potentially combat-capable platform, which would provide whichever group that utilized it with full-spectrum battle space awareness. It would be game, set, and match. Now, keeping that in mind, alongside the ever-growing tensions between the US, Russia, and China, all of which are looking to gain the upper hand as they look towards space as the next military domain, why would the United States Navy willingly upload their breakthrough paradigm-shifting technologies with all the technical data and schematics on Google Patents, essentially allowing any foreign adversary to obtain this information and
only block
utilize
diagrams?
And it is for this specific reason that I personally err on the side of caution when it comes to the full legitimacy or actionability of the technologies described in these patents. I would say it's likely that these patents are laced with some disinformation, some junk science. I don't know this for a fact, but due to the public nature in which they have been circulated, it puts severe doubts in my mind that these patents are 100% clean. Things don't usually work that way, but I will leave you to be the judge. I would also highly encourage those of you who haven't read these articles, primarily written by Brett Tingley, to head over to thedrive.com and give them a look. A link for all of the articles on the Drive regarding these patents and their inventor can be found in the description box below. Now, we finished this episode of UAP News off with an interview by Robert Fleischer for the platform Exopolitik. Robert's guest is Luis Elizondo, and it's a fascinating discussion with some unique and insightful statements from Lou regarding a variety of topics, including the potentiality for water being a fuel source for some of these UAPs, which could possibly explain the intense interest in our world's oceans by advanced aerospace-capable vehicles of unknown origin. I would highly encourage you all to listen to this interview between Robert and Lou in full.
That would make
sense.
A
link can be found for this in the description box below. Thank you all for watching this episode of UAP News. If you enjoyed the content,
if they got some using water to create fusion, and then release lots of energy from it, but yeah, not normally.
Well, Lou goes into this in more detail in the actual interview, Paul.
Yeah. Normally, you split it and use the energy through hydrogen, right? And oxygen is oxidization. It's funny that two things are very explosive when separate, but when they're joined together, they form water, which is inert. So that's the world of science, you know, physics and stuff, and chemical reactions. So I'd just like to know how the water would be used in a UFO, if that's the case. So who's putting that theory forward? I reckon they could superheat it, and it would be, you know, as you know, steam is a really good thrust, you know. And of course, if you got mass reduction, if you got a jet of steam coming out of it, certainly going to push up. You know, you can imagine a balloon with a jet of steam coming out the side. It'll certainly push it along pretty fast. And of course,
can I just ask a very, very stupid question?
What?
If you've got these crafts, right, that are moving so fast under the water, like they do in the air, how come we don't see fish all floating on top of the sea? Because they'd be going through them, wouldn't they? You know, like sharks, whales, all sorts. They'd be smashing into them. They wouldn't be able to avoid them, would they?
I'm
I
not
think
sure.
it would be.
I
think it would be like a wake, and it would push them out the way, you know, rather than go through them.
That's what I was thinking as well. Yeah, it's obviously displacing the water before.
Yeah, they're going something like 1,000 miles an hour or something under the water or something.
Yeah, it's called.
1,000 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's one of the observables that TTSA classified as. It's called transmedium travel. You know, the ability to travel in space, in our atmosphere, and in our oceans.
I thought to be like something like a space rocket in space traveling along, and then you got like a little rock or something. It's the rocket or spaceship. It does a lot of damage. So I thought fish could do the same under the water.
No, it wouldn't do any damage at all. I don't think. There's obviously some kind of field they're using at.
Yeah.
But if we're talking about space now, look at how many satellites are up there. They're not exactly falling out of the sky.
No.
Because they're bumping into debris, are they?
And there's an awful lot of them up there as well.
An awful lot of them, yeah.
I know the junk.
Yeah.
Maybe if one ambulance, he's put it in a really good way there. Space within space between space. Traveling without mass. Yep. Yep.
There's only two ways it can work really. Is it creates some sort of field that pushes things out the way, which makes sense, or like aliens passing through matter. It's not actually going through the water, but it's actually passing through the atoms of water as well as anything else in the way.
Yeah, you see that's another thing that comes up with UFOs and aliens as well, is the ability to pass through solids.
So like passing through whales and anything that's in the way underwater. Stuff like that. Yeah, I understand. Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah, no problem with asking about that. It's a simple question, but it's one that does require an answer.
So who's on the side chat? We got Tommy, is it? And Area 51, Susan. That's 3, and I guess used to's are on the side too. Got 6 viewers. I'm just trying to wonder who the other ones are. So hey guys, thanks for joining us. Remember the About tab has got some links there. I've added some more stuff to the merch store if you've not looked. Now you got Pinky the alien up there. I forgot to mention it last live stream, but I should bring up the link again and show people what we've been doing. So yeah, Robert said, who wants Pinky though? Who wants a pink alien? On their top.
So I got used to it now. It's all right.
I'm saying nothing.
Yeah. I got used to it.
So yeah. Okay. I think most people have got their Merc vouchers spent now, apart from 2. JD, I'm not sure if he's out there, and Susan.
Yeah, spend yours, Susan.
God, yeah, don't waste it.
Yeah, but you got a choice of having Pinky now, you see. And of course, we've got the scaled up logo too. It's not just a small one now, you got a full-size back one. Although we're not sure how it's going to come out until someone actually gets the merchandise and has a look at how it's printed. So it should be okay though, I think.
Yeah.
And they always add new clothing to it as well, which is good. But yeah, the merch store's there, and if you want to join our UFO group, it's also on the About tab there of Twitch, also YouTube. And come and join our UFO group if you're new. And if you've had special sightings of UFOs or been visited, that would be great to have more people come along and talk about it. We find that once you talk about your experiences, that it sort of releases, doesn't it? Releases all the laughter that you always suspected that people were going to laugh at you. But yeah, nothing's worse than...
Also, if they want to remain anonymous, that is an option as well.
Yep, and you can tell the story to Robert, and he can relay your story without names and addresses and just general location. That's fine too. But yeah, we've had some crazy ones come on and talk about aliens killing people and stuff like that, but we like to have actual proof that you can prove that, because something like that would be in the news, like missing people, you know.
Yeah,
especially if they,
and you know,
especially if they're kids.
There has been instances where people have been injured in close proximity to these things, but I don't ever think there was never, like, how can you say, it was never an intention. It was basically a side effect of whatever propulsion system they were using.
We don't know about that soldier, though, do we?
No, we don't. I mean, there's
that was done by some surgery, some type.
Yeah, there's been a few cases that are suspicious, and then when you look at cattle mutations and you look at abductions as well, that's.
Well, it's not just cattle, is it? It's all sorts of animals, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yep.
But the evidence for them actually deliberately harming humans is kind of thin on the ground, really.
Yeah. Actually, we got the last part of Roswell documentary tonight, haven't we?
Okay.
Yeah, so we have to look.
Yet.
We have to look out for it after the show. It should be coming out sometime today, shouldn't it?
Okay.
Which you're not enjoying so far with the Roswell missing diary and.
No, because that diary has been in the public domain for some years now. Kevin Randall was talking about it in 2018, and he's not too impressed with that. And they've already covered the Rainey memo, haven't they? They've taken that down to almost molecular level now, and there's
still
nothing new to add there. But they're talking about maybe using AI to kind of read between the lines and fill in the words. So that's another thing that's in the future.
I've done that though. I've done it years ago, and have a read of my version, and it does sort of fit. Where they're talking about taking away parts from the crash for further analysis is what I worked out, and there was a disc in quotes, so obviously why would they put a word in quotes? Obviously that's a key word on the thing, and there's weather balloons mentioned, and story mentioned, which I believe is CV before that, which stands for cover-up story, or CU, or something like that. Some keyword there.
I don't think there's anything conclusive in that diary that's going to change anything, Paul.
No, this is on the memo.
The memo. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, go and watch my episode on it and see what you think.
Yeah, but I mean, we know there was a cover, Paul. We know that. That's in stone.
You see, there's a lot of words on it that sort of makes it look like a cover-up. If you read my version of it, anyway. But
well, yeah, sure. I mean, it was a cover-up.
Yeah, but I just did it. I did it as a blind thing. I wasn't looking. I was seeing what I was going to say, and at the end of it, I was in conclusion that it certainly sounded like a cover-up. Because that's what the letters and words fitted. What I could see anyway, but. Yeah, obviously once it's converted back into YouTube video, it's not as good as the things I was looking at. But yeah, I'm the intelligence and pattern recognition myself, because not everyone's equal. People can see things in their head in a different way. It's like when you look at one of those special screens that you stare at it and suddenly it pops out. You ever done my Jedi mind trick episode where you can stare at the screen and then suddenly you see Jesus Christ in 3D in front of your screen? Go and do it.
I've done it. Yeah, I've done it.
It freaks out a lot of people. It does actually work. You look at this random pattern and out comes this 3-dimensional Jesus Christ, and they think they're having
that was actually, Paul, you sent that to me on the first day we ever talked.
Yep. So it's amazing how your brain can unscramble things like that. You don't see it initially, but
the clouds, you can see pictures. You stare at the clouds long enough, you'll see a picture in there. In the sky.
Oh no, it's not that, Charles. Honest to God, you'll have to try this yourself.
Well, I've looked at tiles and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's not. Then the picture comes out. It's not pareidolia. It works in a different way,
Yeah, it's definitely different, and I can't remember what it's called now, but it's on my channel. It's one of the most interesting episodes I put together. about how the eyes and mind work, and what you're seeing can be an optical illusion, as well as how they can sort of relay information to you without even realizing through images. So go and check it out and watch it. A lot of my old documentaries are damn good, and they certainly get you thinking in the right direction. And when
okay,
people
Paul,
say,
I'm going to leave a link here for you.
yeah, okay, mate.
And I just have to get it.
When people say I have no content, then you haven't actually watched my early stuff, which is where I spent a lot of time putting these documentaries together. In fact, they should be on Amazon Prime, but I did use a lot of copyright material to film those. I'm not sure how it would go down. But you know, it's like you got to use other people's material and then transform it into a new product, and that's basically what I did. You know, you've seen my Tesla documentary, you've seen my Townsend Brown research documentary, which was also highly rated by his daughter, who found it and watched it and said, thank God someone's actually done a proper job. She's got a comment there, and all sorts of other good stuff there. So if you've not gone back to the old stuff, it's best to go and check it out, because we're not all live streams here. You got to start with the basics, the knowledge, and then the live streams is how I sort of added onto that knowledge. So I always refer back to those old documentaries, go and watch them, and then it all starts to fit together about anti-gravity and what Tesla was up to, and just a new way to look at science itself. You know, always question science, because as people have said, all this new technology stuff that they talked about here in this episode, certainly the mass reduction is probably what Tesla had actually figured out to do with gravity, how gravity actually works. So yeah. I don't know if I could post the links there or not. This Robert's show. Did he post the link here? He did, didn't he?
Yeah, he's put one link on there.
I'll see if I can do a quick search while that one loads up. I'll open up the other browser which I've got set up. I'll post the links in the side, people, while he's in the toilet.
He's gone for another drink, I think.
Okay, so that's part of what we were looking at yesterday, the Solway spaceman. It's all solved now. No mystery there at all. If you don't know about what the solution is, then you missed out on a good show yesterday. Okay, so yeah, a lot of the old documentaries can be found by doing a quick search from the tab here. Use that magnifying glass, which is meant to search my stuff, and just type in a keyword. So Jedi, let's see if Jedi comes up. It might be one of the keywords. So this is the one here with Einstein on front. Don't worry, the tests get more exciting. So I put you through various tests, and at the end you see if you can work out what I did. But I do actually test you, as well as preset your mind like Darren Brown does. So at the end of it, it's going to have you wondering, has Paul made me into a what do you call it, candidate, what's the word I'm looking for, Mandorian? Is it? Oh, no, not Mandorian. What's the word? You know what I'm talking about anyway. Jedi mind tricks. So this is the one, if you do it right, you'll see Jesus Christ pop out on your screen. Well, in front of your screen. Some people look at a blank wall after, sometimes helps. But I've tried to make it so it works. If you got
that's what I did. And
yeah.
It was there for several seconds before it faded out.
Yeah. And of course, also you got Tesla. Although I do make it into a documentary about his life and his quirks. And the second half is more on the science of it. So, Tesla, again, the information there leads into what anti-gravity is and other episodes and live shows I've done. So, this one here about free energy. There's another one. And of course, Tan San Brown is the next one people should be watching after that. They're like the three top documentaries, really. Now, he found out some interesting stuff. Well, actually, him and Tesla were working on the same thing, but separately, and they didn't. Maybe they didn't talk to each other. Maybe they did. I don't know. But
yeah, Paul, we're going way off subject here, you know.
Yeah, I said I was going to get the links for people. Give me a chance. I know I keep posting them up over the live streams. I know people don't often go back and watch them like I tell them to, but I'm sure Charles has got a few there that he said should be good watches. And you even looked at my one on Nostradamus, right? Hey, we got a subscriber. And the Nostradamus one, he thinks I should show it on live sometime.
Yeah. Bring them up again. Bring some of them up, yeah.
It's called Marbus. Some stuff I saw in it, and it's actually related to current times. So, talking about the Antichrist, what it actually really means, what Nostradamus was actually talking about, not actually Antichrist.
Yeah, the only thing, Paul, was with Nostradamus, he made so many predictions, he was bound to get some right. It was just law of averages.
Well, just have a look at my documentary. I think you'll find it quite interesting.
And it's so vague as well. It's kind of like the Bible. You can make whatever interpretation you like.
Well, put it this way: Google didn't like it, and they suppressed this particular episode. So why are they scared of it? Now, I applied science to this and connections. And when you watch it, you'll see what I mean. And I play back a few speeches, which does sound what it does sound like. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's kind of a fun episode. It's not actually on UFOs and stuff, but it's more on conspiracies, I guess, and current thinking on the political climate, and it actually fits in still. Anyway, carry on, I guess. There's probably a lot more episodes there I should be posting on the side for people to check out. But, yeah. You want us to go on with Lou, as people call him?
Yeah, do you want me to repost that now? Or you've got it, have you?
Yeah, I've got it all worked out here.
Good stuff.
You went to the toilet, so I thought it would be an opportunity to slip in some of my stuff.
Yeah, no problem.
Because it's all related, of course, to this. Because we're talking about the science.
Just before you start this now, he's more open in this interview. He's more candid here than he's ever been in previous interviews. Now, at this point, he's left TTSA.
I thought we listened to this guy previously. Is this another interview? Is it?
Oh, it's another interview. Yeah, this is Robert Feischler.
We've had him on before.
The leading UFO investigator in Germany, and no, this interview's from the 22nd of this month, so this is brand new, basically.
Yeah. You notice the chat's not on replay. I didn't know there was a replay. In Twitch? Is there a replay in Twitch? When we upload it to YouTube, we don't have the chat because we're on a different system. Like I said, I'll post the chat in the comments In the pinned comments, I put the topics, and underneath will be the saved chat. This is how it works now. Because we have to get away from YouTube. Anyway, we'll just carry on with this interview, Tommy.
Things are going on in Israel. The former head of the Israeli space security program, Professor Chaim Eshed, claims that there is an agreement between the US government and the aliens. They signed a contract with us to do experiments here. He also claims that the UFOs have asked not to publish that they are here. Humanity is not ready yet. A secret agreement between the US government and aliens who are allegedly hiding because we are not ready yet to cope with their reality. Joining me now is the former head of the Pentagon's UAP research project, ATIP, Luis Elizondo. Welcome to the show, sir.
Robert, thank you for having me. It's my honor and privilege.
Thank you. What is your take on this?
Well, I think we need a lot more information first. I think on one hand, you have a very credible, very respected individual who spent decades in the Israeli Space Administration, really achieving nothing less than the very highest position in that organization. So this is an individual who is used to classified programs, running technical operations in orbit around our planet. So on one hand, if there was ever a person that was qualified to make such a statement, it would seem to be someone like him and of his caliber. But of course, in the same respect, my background coming from the intelligence world is extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence, right? And these are very bold claims. And I'm not certainly one to throw rocks at anybody, because 3 years ago when I came out with my claims about the program and ATIP and whatnot, people probably reacted very similar, like, what the heck is going on? So, but I got to tell you, when someone says that there's a signed or written contract between the U.S. and quote unquote extraterrestrial life, contracts are kind of a human thing. We sign contracts if we want certain goods and services, or we want to buy a house or something like that. I'm not sure that if there is a very sophisticated, let's say, alien life form out in our universe, that they necessarily would oblige to contractual agreements like we do as human beings. That seems to be more of a human type mechanism, frankly. Again, not really knowing what this individual knows. For me, I think it's certainly a fantastical claim that we should probably try to find out more information about. But also, I will say, in reality, if you have a president like our current president Trump right now, with information about something like this that can affect humanity, when you look at this from a practical perspective, right? This is a president who is in the throes of trying to, if you will, protest the recent election results, and is trying to find any type of mechanism to challenge the results. One would think that this would certainly be at the very top of the list if such a contract did exist between our government and an extraterrestrial life form, would be used to inform the people of the world, right? This is a really big deal. It's for me, I'm not qualified to answer on behalf of this individual, this highly respected individual from Israel. I will tell you that the Israeli military is extremely capable. The Israeli government is extremely sophisticated. So in many cases, they have just the same type of technology and capabilities we have. So I wouldn't want to diminish his claims saying that, this is not real. But you need to have some evidence. Just like us with ATIP, we had to have videos, we had to have Senator Reid, we had to have documentations and memorandums, official memorandums being released to the public that they could see for themselves and say, yeah, this is a legitimate effort and this is real. I think that's where we're at right now. I think a lot of people are ready to believe, but we collectively need to see more evidence. If someone wants us to take that leap of faith, then I think we need to have the empirical data to back up those claims and those statements.
So you never heard of any secret agreement between your government and some alleged space aliens during your career as the ATIP boss?
you know, there was always this lore, this myth that would circulate sometimes. And every so often you'd hear something, hey, you know, did we have an agreement with some other type of life form? To my knowledge, I was never made aware of that. I was never privy to that. We did have access to a lot of different organizations in the United States government, and not at one time was I provided definitive proof that there was some sort of official agreement between some other life form and us here on Earth. And I'll tell you what makes it problematic for me. If there is such an agreement where our government has allowed other organisms to interfere with the lives and livelihood of American citizens, and again, I can only speak for the United States, really, not the rest of the world. And in that agreement, somehow it allows somebody to take a U.S. citizen against their own volition anywhere, or worse, even potentially touch them. That, for my definition, that's called assault. That's a crime. Or if you take somebody somewhere and they're not asking to be taken there, that's called kidnapping. So I would find it very difficult for any government to permit its citizens to be, if you will, taken or experimented on. To me, that's awfully high risk. If that ever were to get out, that indeed was the situation, I think we'd have a lot bigger problems on our hands right now than just alien life forms.
But do you reckon they may be conducting experiments without the consent of your government?
Well, I don't know. And then again, that asks that begs the bigger question: does the United States have the right to speak on behalf of other nations? And it doesn't. No, the answer is emphatically no. So even if there was some sort of agreement between the United States government and some sort of life form out there in our cosmos, that does not give us the right to speak on behalf of the rest of humanity. We can only speak on behalf of our own people. So again, there's a lot of questions that I think need to be answered. Again, I'm not going to say yes or no either way, because I don't know. And of course, my gut might tell me one thing, but I've been wrong before. We've had this conversation, Robert, you and I. You've pointed out things where I've said something that was inaccurate, not intentionally, but I may have misstated something. And so being a human being, I've been wrong before, so I can't come out here and tell you emphatically and empirically, yes, this is either factual or it is false. I think we need more information. I think we need to ask some direct questions, and hopefully our friend in Israel will be forthcoming with some answers.
Are you going to get in touch with them?
I prefer not to answer that question at this moment. If that's possible.
Okay. No, it was an old-fashioned look.
But still, the question remains as for the experiments. I mean, I think in the last episode of Series 2 of Unidentified on the Histories channel, you were talking about abductions. So is this something you're taking seriously, or you've been taking seriously during ATIP as well?
Well, I mean, anytime you have human interaction with anything, one of the observables that we really didn't talk about much was the sixth observable, and that was biological effects. Any technical device in the environment will affect the environment. So whether it's a jet aircraft on the tarmac ready to take off, and you have that acoustic signature, or you have perhaps a helicopter landing in a field and it pushes the grass down, technology always has some sort of effect on the environment. And that environment includes biological organisms, whether it's plants or animals or human beings. And so the question in ATIP was there a way to measure the impact or the effect UAPs have on biological organisms? Okay. And then, of course, when you go down that rabbit hole, one of those biological organisms we're naturally concerned with are human organisms, is the human being, the human species. And so if we are coming up close and personal to these things, whether it's our pilots or brave men and women in uniform or even average citizens, is there a negative consequence or potentially positive consequence that can be expected when a biological organism like a human being comes close to one of these UAPs? So that's a legitimate question. You know, we have issues all the time with, for example, right now with our service members. There is a class action lawsuit because the hearing protection that were provided to our service members in combat were faulty, and it was causing hearing loss. Right. Well, that is a biological effect of an acoustic signature. In this case, the firing of a weapon. So, you know, we are ourselves sensors. We are intelligence sensors as biological organisms. We touch, we taste, we smell, we hear, we feel. And through these senses, we can ascertain a better picture of our environment, of the world that we live in. So is it possible that we can use those same senses to help us better understand UAPs? And so that was a legitimate area of study. Now, the question as to abductions, there's a big leap between going from biological effects that are inadvertent and just a consequence of you being next to one of these technologies, and a deliberate attempt to remove somebody against their will, take them to a certain location, do things to them without their consent, and then take them back. Yeah. Abduction, by my definition as a former special agent, it's a crime. It's illegal. You know, abduction is kidnapping. It's something that we need to take very, very seriously. And so,
do you want to add anything to that so far, guys? Because we need to talk in between parts of it anyway.
Well, yes. That bit he just said then. It's a crime.
Yeah, carry on. What are you saying there, Charles? What you add to what you're trying to say?
I said I agree with what he was saying then about abduction is a crime.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
The real question is it a crime in the eyes of the aliens who maybe think in a completely different way to what we do? You know, that's a question to them. It might be fair game.
Yeah.
But in our world, I mean, most people who've had an abduction experience are traumatized by the event.
Yeah.
Not many people see it as a positive thing at all.
Yeah. In our eyes, it's a crime, yeah.
Yeah, but if you take it to like a dog that you take to the vet, they don't want to go against their will. I know Charlie's like that. He shivers like crazy and can't wait to get away again. So yeah, they might be seeing us like animals, like dogs, right? That they're trying to help us, but can't explain it to us because we're talking different languages, right? And because we can only look at facial expressions and the waving of arms to interpret it that the resistant wanted to go, but so do dogs, right? And it's for their best interests. So maybe that's how I'm seeing it. Not sure about you guys out there.
I don't know, Paul, that this is a very grey area indeed. I don't see how it's benefited anybody. None of us do. Are they altering our DNA? Are they tweaking us? Is it all for the better good? I don't know, because I'm not seeing anything good come of it. Do you?
Well, they might be. The aliens might be, but we don't.
Yeah.
They get information off us.
Yeah.
Bodies or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a very controversial issue.
What would be interesting is maybe all the abductees haven't got C19. Maybe they have got some benefits, you know. Has anyone done that study recently? Have any of the alien contactees ever had the nasty virus? So that's the sort of thing that I look at, right? See if there's any sort of connections where there's, you know, people obviously don't think like I do, but maybe some out there do. I don't know. But yeah. The thing is, we can't sort of document these alien abductions. maybe in the future we will be able to, but somehow they've got control of our current physics in a way that can stop devices working, through electricity flow maybe, and that's because we don't understand gravity, and of course everything's electromagnetic and everything's connected.
And if you do remember, then everybody calls you a silly bugger.
Well, maybe. The behaviour panel have analysed a few people now. They said some are liars and some are not. So, there's always hope that's as we get.
Yes, they were all in on the Berkshire incident, weren't they?
Attention seeking.
Yeah. Anyway, we better carry on. Anyone want to add anything else before we hit play?
No, Clark.
Okay.
Even if you were to, let's say, hop into an Uber ride today to go down the street to go visit a friend, but the Uber driver decides to stop at his or her house on the way and maybe go grab a sandwich at a local shop and then maybe do some shopping, that's still a crime because you're being taken somewhere against your will.
Yeah, right? But do you think the aliens? You think the aliens would really think about whether it's a crime on our planet or not?
No, I don't. But you're asking me to think from the perspective of something that I have no way to think. I guess my point being is it's a completely different paradigm. It's like asking, how does a monkey think, or how does a bird think, or how does a snake think, or how does, I can only tell you from a human perspective what I think. For me to try to think, well, what would the aliens think? Well, that's presuming that if there are, first of all, if there are aliens, and then two, do they think? I mean, the way we consider thought, right, conscious thought, may be completely different. Computers use binary language, right? It's your ones and zeros. They can do a lot of interesting processes, but does it mean a computer can think? Well, until artificial intelligence came out, probably the answer was no. But now we realize that, maybe computers can think. So I think it's hard for me to try to put myself in the shoes if there are aliens, and B, what would they quote unquote think?
Of course,
I'm not sure.
Of course, but have you been looking at this while you were still at ATIP, the abduction phenomenon? Have you taken note of it at least?
Yeah, I don't think computers can think. That's sort of my area. They can interpret information and then act on it, but they don't actually think. So should I turn left, turn right? Should I slam on the brakes and all that sort of stuff, right?
I don't know. As it becomes more sophisticated, Paul, I'm not sure.
At this stage in our level of technology, computers do not think. They just interpret and react. Like facial recognition, you do various sampling, and it's sort of based up on pattern matching, right? So it's just pattern matching. So if this person comes here, it knows what that person looks like in all different angles and clothing and all that sort of stuff, and it's just pattern matching and reacting. Shoot the gun or whatever.
How long do you think?
Stage, yes.
How long do you think into the future before we start seeing something like a Terminator? Robot.
I think you're going to have to get into the realm of biological computers, right? Where it's not actually controlled by a program. We're not controlled by programs as far as we know, although some people had hinted that we're in a holographic universe in the Matrix, right? But we seem to all be independent thinkers. We're not sort of robots, like we're not all thinking the same way. So there's a lot of different variations in coding. If we are in the Matrix, right, millions and millions of different things, changes.
Who knows what the world's going to look like in 100 years or 200 years time?
Until we understand how our brain works and the memory storage better, I don't think we can.
And we're not even close to that, are we?
No, we can't make a computer in that sort of brain capacity, you know. Trillions and trillions of bits of information. I think a lot of it's to do with atoms itself and energy levels, right? And atoms are energy, and information actually stored in the atoms. So that's my feeling. But again, it all comes down to our knowledge of science and barriers that exist in science, where people think the conclusion's obvious, but maybe the conclusion has multiple parts to it, and some of the parts have been ignored, which actually happens. You know, often an equation on Earth works, but on another planet it doesn't work, and so they create a new equation that works on that particular planet, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, I'm supposed to be able to carry on here.
I have to be very careful how I answer that. A lot of people were involved in ATIP. It wasn't just me, and obviously with the establishment of the new task force, some of that historical data may be being used right now. I don't know, and I don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize that. But what I can say, which I said for the record, we were looking at biological effects. And those biological effects includes all sorts of different organisms, whether, again, you're talking about a plant or an animal or a human being. One of my colleagues, Dr. Kit Green, an incredible human being, an absolute hero to our nation, spent quite a bit of time looking into the validity of that question of biological effects.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. There's some more and more information seems to come out in the United States as well. Just recently, Tim McMillan published an article about 2 classified reports issued by the new UAP task force. And they allegedly contain 2 photos taken by Navy pilots of UAP. And one of them is now published on Tim McMillan's website, which you can see here. It is this weird object, which no one really can make any sense of. It's published on Tim McMillan's website, the debrief.org.
That's not right, is it?
mean, I reckon you already knew this photo before it was published, right?
I was aware of that photo. That's correct.
Okay, so originally there were supposed to two photos were supposed to come out, and then only one of them came out. What happened?
I can't answer that question. You'd have to forward that question to Tim McMillan. I can make guesses that maybe those photos were held back deliberately because they may have compromised certain intelligence sensors or capabilities or sources and methods. Maybe it was done as a courtesy to individuals still inside the government. There's a whole range of possibilities why. Not everything is published. At the end, I think it probably comes down to respect. We want to be constructive in this conversation, not destructive. We're not looking to get anybody fired or get anybody in trouble. We're just trying to tell the truth and provide a narrative that is accurate. And sometimes in doing that, you have to be cautious because there are other things at play. There's other things going on that we say, well, I want to see a picture of a UFO. Well, the question is, where was this photo taken? Sausages. What were we doing in that area? Even, for example, the time of day or night that a photograph was taken. These are important aspects to intelligence operations. And sometimes you don't want to broadcast those capabilities, especially because foreign adversaries may be watching. So
yeah, your colleague Christopher Mellon from the To the Stars Academy, he's the former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. He conveyed a message via James Fox on the latest Joe Rogan show, in which he said that the government should declassify or should release this photo because it was taken by a Navy pilot with his iPhone. So there are no sources and methods to be protected. Do you agree?
Well, I look, my friend Chris Mellon is probably one of the most intelligent human beings, and I mean this sincerely, I have ever had the privilege to know. He's an incredible human being. I agree with Chris on a lot of things, and this may be one of them. But I also think it's important that we have a comprehensive picture of where we are right now. So let's take that example of taking an iPhone, where it is a commercial product. There are no sources and methods you need to be worried about. Well, a few years ago here in the United States, there was an individual who was in the Navy and took a picture with their personal cell phone device, again, an unclassified device, inside a nuclear submarine. And in that picture were a lot of classified aspects. So even though the device itself may not be classified, it doesn't stop an unclassified, if you will, phone or machine or a camera from taking some very sensitive, very classified pictures. So I think we need to make a determination here. You know, it's not so much what was the device that took the photos, it was what was in those photos that is considered sensitive or classified. And so there is a distinction there. And you know, I think it's tempting for us to just say, well, it was on an iPhone, we can put the picture out there. And in most cases, that may absolutely be true. But there are some exceptions, as rare as they may be. There are some exceptions, and you know we have to let the government do its job. If they determine something is classified, then you know I think what we can do is we can ask the question, why? Why is something classified? I think the government is enjoying to tell us that, but to actually release every photo that's ever been taken from a personal camera, you know, that may be a bridge too far. If I go to a nuclear facility with a personal cell phone device and I start taking pictures, chances are I'm going to get my cell phone confiscated. That's just the world we live in.
Yeah, yeah. Your colleague Christopher Mellon also said in that message, read by James Fox, that one of these cases featured a photo of a bizarre flying sphere and a black cube inside that is identical to dozens of other reports by Navy pilots, and that these strange objects had been shadowing East Coast naval ops since 2015. Can you confirm that?
I can confirm that this is nothing new. Our brave men and women in the skies have been reporting strange things for a while, and there seems to be an interesting classification, if you will, of shapes. Whether they're cubed or saucer or lenticular, if you will, or in some cases tic-tac shaped or cigar shaped, and even triangles. This is nothing new to us. Our pilots have been reporting this, and not just pilots too. There's other individuals on the ground that have also reported this type of information, including in this particular case the sphere inside the cube.
Yeah. What about this specific shape of a sphere and a cube inside a sphere? Isn't that exactly what two other Navy pilots reported? What was flying right in the middle in between of their jets?
Yeah, that's correct. This is a shape that's been reported quite a bit. I don't want to say how much because obviously that changes every day, but it has been reported, and it's something that's it's very intriguing, right? I think when you look at geometry, everything we do in aerospace, all our aircraft, even our stealth aircraft that we have, they're designed specific for the function in which they're to perform. So a stealth aircraft has all these weird angles, and it's to, if you will, to evade radar. So the question here is what are the advantages of having a sphere inside a cube? Now, is there a very real terrestrial answer to this? Could this be some sort of new type of dirigible or balloon? It's absolutely possible. But the question is, what purpose does that shape serve? And if it's not ours, then whose is it? And if it's not some sort of adversarial technology, then we're stuck with a hard question of, okay, if it's not ours and it's not theirs, then whose is it? And why? What's the purpose of, if you will, a sphere within a cube? Now, that's what our eyes are seeing, and that's what the cameras are picking up. But is there more to it? Is there function, if you will, behind the shape? And I would submit to you in ATIP, that was one of the things we were looking at. Does does the shape of a UAP dictate its purpose, its function, its mission, so to speak? Is it reconnaissance, right? Is it something else?
And what did you find out?
I think the jury is still out. I think we're still trying to figure that out.
Okay, but is it the case that specific shapes of UAP or whatever you call?
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it?
I'd love to be somebody like Mr. Spock and do a mind melt on him and get all the information out of his head, because he knows a hell of a lot.
Thank you, Charles. You took the words right out of my mouth. This guy is not letting on what he knows. He knows a lot more, but he did kind of let one thing go there. He said, that's what our cameras are picking up.
Yeah.
So now we know there's photographs out there, these things, probably video as well. He knows about it. Is it a foreign technology? I don't think it is. I think he knows damn well it's not ours or theirs. But he's just not committing himself, is he?
No. And I think all these phones that these military and Air Force pilots they're all being checked, I think, when they get back.
Mm-hmm.
They must be.
Maybe. Yeah.
So they don't get out with photos.
Yeah, I think that triangle one will probably see the light of day at some stage if it was taken off a mobile phone camera. But I'm only hoping that, and yeah, it's frustrating. We know it's there, but we can't see it. Now we know they've got other pictures of this sphere with a black box inside. And we know it's there, but we're not seeing it, and we can't analyze it, and it's damn well does my head in, to be honest.
Well, he knows a lot of information.
Of course he does. They're very well connected, Charles.
Yeah. Just wish he could tell people more.
I know. I think I think it's inevitable that we're going to find out more. There's going to be more fun and games to come. Trust me.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it's not a Batman balloon, is what most people have been saying. But
well, that doesn't even sound like a Batman balloon, does it?
No, but we've been saying
you're
that
talking about the photograph that has come out in the public arena.
Yeah, it's not even a Batman balloon; it's a heart-shaped balloon.
No,
anyway,
well, whatever.
Everyone's jumped on the bandwagon there. People that don't have a clue keep repeating the Batman balloon. Anyway,
it doesn't matter. It's a balloon. Period.
Oh yeah. So, was that in the same site and all that? We don't know though fully, do we?
Well, no. He's basically said that this has been reported on a regular basis. So there's more than one incident, Paul, and there's more than one photograph. But he's kind of questioning when he says that's what the cameras are picking up. He's kind of suggesting there that that's what we see. That's what the cameras are picking up. But is it really that? Is it interacting with our consciousness? Is it projecting an image, making us see something that's throwing our judgment out? We don't know. Is it some kind of tomfoolery? I don't know.
It still doesn't say it's alien technology there, though. That's the whole problem.
I think he pretty much hinted at that, though.
Yeah. You could see something was up.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
Call them only show up in specific regions or primarily in specific regions. Like Christopher Mellon, he mentioned that they overshadow the naval ops at the east coast of the United States.
And not just there. They were seen way out in the combat theater. There are some congruencies that we have noticed. The question is are those congruencies real, or are they just because the fact that we happen to be there at the time to witness it? So what do I mean by that? Well, I can share with you the two congruencies that we're fairly confident with is water. There seems to be some sort of association with water. And the other one is strategic nuclear capabilities, whether it's energy or weapon development or whatever. We do seem to see that a lot. Now, the question is there really an interest by UAPs in water for whatever reason, and U.S. nuclear technology and foreign nuclear technology? Or is it that we have more eyes, if you will, more people watching those areas, right? So one could, I think, argue the fact that a nuclear facility is probably one of the more guarded locations that we have in our countries, and for good reason, right? And so because of that, you're going to have more technology, more capability, looking for things in the sky, looking for potential threats. So is it possible that we just have more capabilities, more quote unquote eyes in the sky near these facilities, and we're seeing them more often? Same thing with water. You have the Navy, which is literally all over the world. They are a global presence. So is it possible that they are seeing these things more frequently just because they happen to be more places that are in the middle of the ocean that happen to be remote, where the sky is very clear? Or is there really a congruency between UAPs and water and nuclear capabilities? I will share with you, which I don't usually do, but it is my opinion, and let me reemphasize this. It is my personal opinion that there is certainly an interest in strategic nuclear capabilities. The methodology in which we see these UAPs conduct their operations, if you will, is very similar to the way we ourselves would conduct some sort of reconnaissance mission. So from my perspective, I think it's fair to say almost conclusively that there is definitely there is some sort of relationship between strategic nuclear capabilities and UAP sightings. Now, the question is that the same thing with water? And that's why the Navy is seeing all these things and the Air Force has been kind of quiet. I don't know that. I don't know. We have some theories on why that may be the case. There's certainly a lot of indicators that is indicative that may be the case. But I think it's harder to be definitive from that perspective. It is something that ATIP looked at a lot. Why is it we see these things over the bodies of water, often? And
Paul,
is there a purpose? And so that was theorized quite a bit.
Now, we've been addressing this issue for some time now. Nobody else has, that I know of. And this is just confirmed, really, what I've always believed. Water.
It's essential.
Nuclear facilities. Yeah. They're two big giveaways. So, we can understand some of this stuff. Even if we don't know the specifics of it, at least we have an idea. Yeah, but roll it on, because it's quite interesting what he has to say.
And that's a very good question. There have been theories before. Where do they come from? The extraterrestrial hypothesis, the interdimensional hypothesis, the time traveler hypothesis. But if they show up here more regularly and more often in specific locations, wouldn't it be logical to assume that they have a base on Earth somewhere hidden, maybe deep down in the water?
Could be. It could also be that water is being used as a fuel source. It could be as simple as we are a close gas station nearby, an ESSO, if you will, or a mobile gas station. It could be that potentially water is being used as a fuel source, right? If you wanted to, we know that the smaller you go in size and matter, the more tightly energy is held within those bonds of matter. So when you go from, for example, water to steam, that's a 1 × 10⁻³ energy release. when you start breaking apart the molecules, you get into a chemical reaction that's usually a 1 × 10⁴ release of energy. Then you get into splitting up the atom. That's a 1 × 10⁵. Then you start splitting the nucleus of an atom. That's a 1 × 10⁶ release, and so forth and so forth. So one could argue that, you know, the most fundamental element in the universe, the most abundant and widely distributed, is hydrogen. The problem is, let's just say, for argument's sake, that your vehicle requires a lot of energy to bend space-time. Well, if you needed a lot of energy, you would have to break down matter to a point to extract some of that energy. Is it possible that hydrogen is being used to create those levels of energy, breaking down hydrogen? And I don't mean hydrogen, even the atom. I mean the more fundamental aspects, the proton, if you will, and the neutron, perhaps, and it may be even smaller than that. And so one could argue that although hydrogen is the most abundant, it's also the most diffuse in our cosmos, meaning it's almost nebulous. Usually, you have to go to a huge gas cloud to find hydrogen in that type of abundance. The other place where you can find hydrogen in great quantities is water, H2O. It turns out that water is one of the most hydrogen-rich sources in the universe.
Made some interesting comments here.
Yeah.
You ever heard, you know, the hissing sound of UFOs? Well, steam makes hiss, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And we're seeing what people said, they're seeing vents on these things. So yeah, is it releasing steam? A byproduct of the water they're using? But he mentioned space-time there, and I think that's old science, as far as I'm concerned, because you can't change time. You can maybe bend space, but time is constant.
Okay.
In the sense
but some people in the scientific community would disagree with that. That's just your opinion, of course.
Not really. There's quite a few people out there who think the way I do.
Yes, I understand that, Paul.
There's a time component, and if you're in space, obviously it's less time to get from A to B, but going back in time and all that sort of business is a no-no. This just ain't going to happen.
In your opinion?
In many people's opinion. But anyway, this is where people like Jack Safati is known as a kook, because he actually believes in this time travel part of it. So,
okay.
I believe it's just a misdirection there in science. But yeah, they're still guessing here, as another point I want to bring up here, that they're guessing about what the water's all for. And nuclear, of course. Why would they?
I don't think that's a guess, Paul. I think that's blatantly obvious. You've only got to look at the case history.
Yeah, he must know that there's plenty of planets out there as well, because he's saying that ours could be just a gas station.
Yeah.
But in that case, the UFOs have been sucking nuclear material from nuclear warheads and taking it.
Paul, I think that no, he's never suggested that. Nobody has suggested that. What they have done is disabled our warheads on many, many occasions.
Yeah, but he's saying we need water. Why are they over nuclear bases, though? So what they taken from that?
Look, he's talking about water as a fuel source.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the association with UFOs and nuclear weapons. He didn't say they were drawing energy. He did not suggest that at all, Paul. I don't know. You must have misheard something there.
Station.
Mm-hmm.
He did say fuel station.
Yes, he was talking about water, Paul.
Yeah.
Not nuclear facilities.
Because it's bonded to oxygen. So
of course,
if you wanted to mine hydrogen, maybe you would do it, using water and just remove the oxygen. That leaves you 2 hydrogens, and you're in business. Again, and I want to be clear here. This is just purely speculative right now. You asked me a question, so I wanted to try to answer it thoughtfully. But it is speculative at this point. So I don't want anybody thinking that, hey, Lou has said that, they're mining water and that's, the Earth is a gas station. I don't know. It's just simply a counterpoint to your question.
So what is the reason, in your opinion, that that there are real UFO hotspots, that they seem to show up in specific locations, Catalina Island, the U.S. East Coast, and all of that?
Well, I think if you look at this in terms of what's around those areas, right? First of all, Catalina Island, at the time you had a nuclear strike group. You had a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, potentially nuclear-powered and nuclear-armed submarines in the area, potentially. You also have older nuclear power plant right off the coast there in north of San Diego. So is it really Catalina is a hotspot because it's a pretty island, or is it because that there may be some capabilities there that a UAP might find interesting? So let's look at the East Coast of the United States. Same thing. You have a lot of facilities there that are very sensitive, and in some cases related to our nuclear capabilities. And I'll leave it at that. I won't go any more detail than that. So the question is there an interest on the West Coast and the East Coast just simply because they're the West Coast and the East Coast? Or is there something there that is drawing UAP activity that they're interested in, right? And that may be a global thing, not just the US. This may be the same thing they're seeing in China and in Russia and in Europe and everywhere else. And for that reason, it's a very scary topic to talk about. As a government, the last thing you want to do is discuss any type of vulnerability you may have in your strategic nuclear capability, either offensive or defensive. That's just something we don't discuss publicly ever, no matter what. Okay. So there could be some sensitivities there as well. Why there's this hesitation, this resistance to talk about UAPs off the east and west coast of the United States, because maybe there's some sensitivities surrounding those particular areas.
Yeah. Let's talk about the UAP task force, which was formally introduced a couple of months ago by the deputy defense minister of your country. But you say it already existed before and had been working ever since you left ATIP.
Well, it was an official release, but not the formal release. The task force has been around for some time. It really is a natural evolution of ATIP. I think when people find out, and I say this, I think from an informed perspective, I'm not going to say why, but it'll become abundantly clear, I think, in the near future when people realize the similarities between the UAP task force and ATIP. No big surprise there. I think it's, why reinvent the wheel when you can take the lessons learned from other past efforts and incorporate them into your existing efforts. It is something that has been going on for some time. The individuals who are part of that organization are some of the most capable that I've ever had a chance to work with. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of them. There needs to be more. The task force was established, which I think was an excellent sign. I applaud Senator Marco Rubio and, of course, Senator Harry Reid and some of these other individuals who support the task force and the establishment of the task force. The problem is it's not nearly as robust as it should be, and it needs to have more people. It needs to have more money. You can only do so much with a certain number of people.
It's only two people, right?
Yes, formally 2 people. There's actually more involved, quite a few more, just like we had in ATIP. I think if you looked at those individuals who were part of ATIP, you look at that original list of 13, or I guess it was maybe 20 people back in 2009, my name being included as one of those individuals. It's not a whole lot of people, but when you realize actually we had a whole lot of other people working with us, it's a little bit more than that. I think when you look at a formal line and block chart, you might see 2 people. but there's more people helping that cause, a lot more. The problem is that they're at the whim of the government. So if the government says, you know what, we have this other issue du jour we want you to work on, they're going to get pulled from that mission of looking at UAPs to go do something else. And you don't have that dedicated support that's necessary, especially in a topic like this. So, I think they need a lot more help, a lot more support. I mean, we had some folks in ATIP, and we didn't have enough people to do what we needed to do. So I can't imagine the current UAP task force commander having a whole lot of time to do very much. If it's just him and one other person, that'd be tough.
Yeah. So are you waiting, or are they waiting for the Intelligence Authorization Act to come into power to be effective in order to receive funding, or what is it that takes?
Sure, that's one mechanism, but there's other mechanisms, and my colleagues like Chris and I have been very busy behind the scenes trying to create an environment where if that funding does not happen, that there are other potentially funding vehicles. Part of that is engaging key government personnel and letting them know the reality of the topic in a very serious, straightforward way. Sometimes, they have to have classified briefings to see data. And at that point, once they're convinced, then usually they get energized. And I think people think it's just a matter of congressional funding and you're going to have this task force. There's other mechanisms to accomplish this. Ideally, what we'd want to do is take it from being a task force to a long-term effort that either resides within the intelligence community or the Department of Defense. A task force, legally speaking, is usually a temporary activity or effort to solve an immediate problem. And in this particular case, we may be looking at this. This may be a long-term problem for us, long-term challenge, not necessarily a short-term challenge. Frankly, we've been looking at this problem for decades and we still haven't figured it out. So maybe a task force isn't the best construct. It's a great way to start the ball rolling, but I think long term, we're going to need a lot more. And in fact, I think this is going to be an international effort. I think we really need our friends in other countries. We just saw Japan step up to the plate. Thank goodness. We have other friends in Latin America that are willing to step up to the plate. A couple friends in Europe. I'm not prepared to say who they are right now, but that are also willing to step up to the plate. And maybe, this is a big maybe, but maybe even in the Middle East, there may be a country or two that's interested in this topic. I think ultimately this is going to be a collective challenge for all of us to try to figure out. This shouldn't be just a U.S. issue or a U.S. problem. This is truly it's a global presence and therefore a global issue. We all need to try to figure this out.
Is that the reason why those UAP reports were widely distributed among in the intelligence community, in the Five Eyes community, even allies?
I think that's a pretty good, safe bet.
Okay. So we can also we can all think about who that interested party in Europe may be. So when it comes to allies, I mean, Germany hosts one of the biggest U.S. military bases outside the U.S. Do you think one of those reports would also reach some responsible person in Germany?
I hope so. Ultimately, the German response to this is up to you, not me. It's going to be up to folks like you who carry the torch and have a conversation in a rational, meaningful way that it resonates with your leadership. This topic has been clouded.
Yeah, so, who are these allies? But I totally agree this should be a global effort, rather than one country doing all the research. Mm-hmm. But like another interesting thing there is even Suzanne Goff said in a public statement that multiple agencies would be involved if required. So although the program seems small on the surface, it does have some power to force if required. But that's a bit disturbing to say there's only 2 people working on it. It doesn't sound like a serious effort at all, does it?
Helping as well behind, but I expect they're unpaid.
Yeah, you know, and it's not a big concerted effort which is what it needs to be. It needs to be a global effort. I don't see any other way. You know, all the countries need to be sharing their own experiences, but that hasn't happened in the past because knowledge.
These could be just American now, couldn't they? I mean, who's to say that like other countries in Europe and China haven't got things like this going on?
Well, we know France has for decades.
Yeah.
Had its own UFO program. China does as well.
Yeah.
Nothing comes out of China. Nothing. They're keeping all that knowledge to themselves, and they've put a hell of a lot of effort into UFO research. Now Japan has jump on, you know, because I think they will communicate with us, because Japan and the States have been allies since the end of the Second World War, basically, haven't they?
Yeah.
France as well, I think, will be happy to share their information. Italy, maybe so. Latin America, well, he said so. So yeah, it's. I don't
know about Germany though, because I mean, he said that they've got the biggest American force in there, but that's been like that since the war.
It has, exactly, yeah.
And
I think we've done a previous interview with this guy Robert Feischler, and yeah, he came to the conclusion that America is actually running a UAP program for them. Yeah, they've always been involved there. Okay, Paul?
Far too long in stigma and taboo, and partly because the individuals involved in this this effort, you know, there's been a lot of controversy. There hasn't been a whole lot of facts and a whole lot of opinions that have been provided. So, you know, politicians are very by design risk averse. In fact, a lot of times they stay in their positions because they avoid these type of social, you know, if you will, conflicts and ideas. So in order to get a leader to pay attention, you have to first have a conversation in a way that makes sense. We don't talk about, you know, little green men and Elvis on the mothership and tinfoil hats, because unfortunately, this is a mental picture we have done to ourselves over the last 70 years. This is a topic that has been relegated to, for the most part, fringe science. And that's problematic because this isn't fringe science. This is probably just quantum mechanics, but we haven't been able to have a good conversation about it because people, the first thing you do when you mention it, they kind of smile, they might grin, they might raise their eyebrow. And that's because of the social conditioning that we have placed on this topic for decades. It's almost reflexive. In fact, if you don't have a reaction like that, people will start to think you're crazy, right? So you have to first remove that stigma and that taboo from the conversation. And to do that, you know, it takes a hard conversation with evidence and proof. And
you know, when you ask the German government or the German military, and we did that twice in a press conference, they would deny any interest in the subject whatsoever. They would even say that they never had anything unusual on their radar screens, which they could not eventually explain. Is that a credible statement for you?
Well, sure, from a government, absolutely, because governments are paid to have answers. And the last thing you want to do is involve your government in an issue where you don't have solutions for.
But
you don't want to admit you have a problem that you don't have a solution. And so I don't blame the German government or any other government or the US government for not wanting to get involved. I don't want to be involved, but I am. I have to be. So for me, I think it's normal for a government to say, look, you know, unless these things are an absolute threat right now, which they don't potentially seem to be, we don't know. We'll let some other country deal with this. And then when they have the empirical evidence and we're forced to get involved in this, then we will. But until that point, we're not going to spend our own money trying to solve a problem that, frankly, there may not be a solution for. And furthermore, the last thing we want to do is tell our own people that, we have no idea what these things are flying in our sky. That's a big no-no. And this is something that even in our country right now is something that we're trying to deal with. Our Department of Defense has prided itself in our intelligence community for being the best of the best of the best. And yet here is something that has remained a complete enigma to our entire national security apparatus for decades.
Yeah. Now let's talk about the crash debris and the cooperation agreement that To the Stars Academy has signed with the U.S. Army Futures Command. Is there any news to this, analyzing UFO crash debris?
Unfortunately, I'm not at liberty to discuss any business involving TTSA and any other organizations outside that it may have business dealings with. That's something that I would suggest probably you may want to inquire directly with TTSA.
Okay. So what are your future plans? Is there going to be a third series on the History Channel? What are your plans for the next future?
Well, without going into a whole lot of detail, first and foremost, Chris Mellon and myself and a few others remain very much engaged in this topic behind the scenes, trying to push the ball forward with our own government, our own politicians, our own media, and leadership. But I think it would be a fair presumption to say international engagement is becoming one of our top priorities. I won't go into detail of exactly how we're going to do that and our plan for that, but I think people can start to see that shifting now that we've got the conversation going here in our country. I think it's time we have this conversation occurring now more globally. I think it wouldn't be a surprise if people saw Chris Mellon and myself, and maybe some other people. I won't say their names right now. Working on some joint projects in the public domain, maybe a very hard-hitting documentary on a global level, where we continue the work and effort that we did with Unidentified, and really take this conversation global, provide new information, new evidence, new testimony that will resonate not just in our country here, but perhaps in other countries as well.
Yeah. Talking about conditions globally, the COVID-19 crisis is one of them. It's really, engaging all of us in wondering what the future may bring. The World Economic Forum has their own agenda. It's called the Great Reset. Do you think that there is anything, how does this work out, the plan, what you're doing compared to, or let's say, taking into account the current situation?
I don't know. I'm not much of a conspiracy theorist, and I'm smart enough to know what I don't know, to know that there are things out there that I have no clue about. I have a difficult enough time just talking about UAPs. I'm not sure anybody's an expert. I'm certainly not an expert in it, even though I worked the program for almost 10 years. Still doesn't make me an expert. If I was an expert, we would have figured it out by now. So to talk about these other things, we're constantly dealing with as a society with these external challenges, whether it's COVID and a national pandemic, or terrorism, or if you will, economic inequality, as some has put it. I think, but this is nothing new. This is all part of the human condition. This is, I think, we, as a human being, we live for maybe 80 years if we're lucky, and we look at everything through the scope of that 80 years, and we say, wow, times have really gotten tough. But the question is, has it really? There were times in the past where we faced a bubonic plague, right, and the Black Death, and Spanish influenza that killed millions and millions of people. We had great global world wars, right, that killed millions of people. So, strife is nothing new to the human condition. And right now things seem pretty bad, but when you look at it in contrast to the rest of where humanity has been and the path that we have taken, It's actually not too bad. I think we're all living pretty good right now by universal standards.
Yeah.
Can we do better? Absolutely. Yeah. Do I think that the UFO or UAP issue has anything to do with COVID or anything else? I don't. I don't think there's this grand conspiracy in any way to try to, reset, if you will, humanity. There's a lot of discussion here in our country about this thing called QAnon.
Yeah.
Again, if you look at the cycles or the rhythms of humanity, it ebbs and flows like the tides, and these type of things come and go. This is just part of being human and living on a collective rock we call Earth.
Do you have the impression that UFO sightings occur more often have been occurring more often throughout the last couple of years?
Well, that's a question we need to answer, right? One can say, well, certainly there's more people reporting it, and it's in the press more often, so the sightings must have gone up. But in the other part of the argument, one could argue just as easily, saying, well, more people now have personal cell phone devices in their hands with some of the best technology. This cell phone that I carry here, this little device, is more capable than some of our best computers just 10 years ago, right? So everybody has these little intelligent sensor devices that has GPS and Wi-Fi and telemetry, and in some cases even infrared. So is the question you're asking are UFOs being encountered more frequently, or are they just being reported more frequently because everybody now has a personal device in their hands? And frankly, it's okay to have the conversation because now the media has picked up and said, hey, you know what? Maybe there really is something there. And so people are now more apt to have the conversation. Just 3 years ago, if you went to a commercial pilot and said, hey, have you ever seen a UFO? They'd say, no way.
Okay, but what about military sightings? I mean, I'm not talking about some everyday person who sees some strange object from his balcony. What about military sightings?
Well, I think that's a great question. I don't know. I don't know if we have the metrics yet to say definitively that there is an increase in these interactions. One can go back to World War II with the Foo Fighters, and it wasn't uncommon that our Allied pilots would see these lights following them sometimes for a protracted period of time in and out of a theater of engagement. So I don't want to state that the frequency is either up or down. I think it's interesting to see the data come in, but I think we need to do more analysis. First of all, we need more data, and then we need more analysis to figure out, is this really a greater increase in frequency of sightings, or is it just a manifestation of the fact that we have better collection capabilities now than we've ever had before?
Yeah. When I watched the Histories television show, of which I took part in it unknowingly, one thing I noticed was that the UFO phenomenon was often portrayed as a threat to national security. Why is that? I mean, there have been so many UFO sightings around the world for decades, without that you've ever heard that the UFO would have attacked the White House or abducted some president or what have you. I mean, why is it always, it makes us wonder if there is some sinister goal you're trying to achieve by always portraying it as a threat. So why is that?
Yeah, fair question. Well, first of all, because we're human. Every one of us as human beings fear the unknown. Now, people can say, I don't fear the unknown. Yes, you do. Everybody does. We just fear it in different ways. From my perspective, I'm a former military man and intelligence officer. I fear the unknown. I fear information gaps. When you have an information gap and you're not sharing information, things like 9/11 happen. Now, I'm not saying that there's any comparison between 9/11 and UAPs. But what I'm simply saying is that some small gap in information can lead to catastrophic failures. And my job in the Department of Defense was to have answers. Okay. I am a product of national security. Otherwise, I'd work at the State Department. Otherwise, I'd work at an NGO. Otherwise, I'd work for the Red Cross. That's not who I am. My job is to identify and find and get rid of bad guys. That's what we do in national security. So it should not be of any surprise to anybody that we look at everything through the lens of a potential, and let me emphasize, potential threat. Doesn't mean it is a threat, but it has a potential to be a threat. Let's look at the fundamental equation of what constitutes a threat. You have to have capabilities and intent. Well, we've seen some of the capabilities. We have no idea the intent. So we don't know if it's a threat, but we have to assume or presume that it could be if it wanted to be. So from my perspective, that was the optic that we looked at. I think, another analogy I like to use, and I'm sure you've probably heard it a million times, but to me, it makes sense. I have 2 daughters, and I love them terribly, and I'm always worried sick about them. And I always ask them every night, okay, you lock your front door. Okay, make sure all your windows are locked. You turn the alarm on before you go to bed, because I don't want anything bad to happen. Now, they live in a very safe neighborhood, but bad things still happen in nice neighborhoods. And so I always tell them, lock your door. And so the analogy I like to use is, let's say one night,
they won't stop the aliens.
I know you live in a nice neighborhood, but you decide you lock your front door, make sure the windows are locked, you turn on your alarm system, and you wake up one morning to have a nice hot cup of tea or coffee. You walk downstairs, and all of a sudden there's muddy boot prints in your living room that were not there the night before. Now, no one's been hurt, nothing's been taken, nothing's out of place. But despite you locking the front door, locking the windows, and turning on your alarm system the night before, there are muddy boot prints in your living room. So my question to you is that a threat? Well, my response to you is, it could be if it wanted to be, so we probably better figure it out. So that's my perspective. And frankly, I don't want to gamble with my daughter's well-being, and I don't want to gamble with the American people's well-being, and I don't want to gamble with our allies and our friends' well-being on a question like this. We have no idea. And then furthermore complicated when people say, well, these things mean no harm. They haven't, blown up the White House. Well, you have some people saying, well, yeah, but I've got cancer. Well, yeah, but I was taken somewhere where I didn't want to go. Well, if that's true, then that is a threat to me. I would not want my daughter being taken anywhere without her consent, period. I don't care what it's for. So I think, I prefer not to live in a world of naivety. I could be absolutely wrong, and I hope I am. I hope there is absolutely no threat here. This is completely benign and all for the benefit of humanity. I truly hope so. But I don't want to take that risk until we know for sure. So and I think I can speak clearly for my colleagues as well. Now, with that said, I also think there's a lot of opportunity. I think there's a lot of hope here. I think that if this turns out to be what it could be, the potential could be enormous for mankind and humanity writ large. So with risk comes opportunity. And I think we need to look at this also through that optic. And if you notice through the last episode of season 2, we kind of do a little bit of a personal monologue, each of us, of what this could mean for humanity. And it's not all bad. There could be tremendous good here, right? So I think we need to proceed cautiously, remain optimistic, but cautiously optimistic. That would be my suggestion.
Okay, one last question about the role of the U.S. Navy. Jim McMillan put an emphasis on cases of unidentified submerged objects.
Yeah, I mean, they've been pushing this bad UFO, naughty alien narrative for a long time now, haven't they? But I think I know why they're doing it. I mean, if you want to get money out of the government to study anything, then they're not going to spend money on a matter of some interest, are they? But once you tell them, look, this is potentially a threat, this could potentially, be a problem for national security, then they will start forking out then and looking into the problem. If you just say, oh, this could be of scientific interest, they're not going to pay any attention at all, are they? So I kind of know where they're coming from on this now. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is the whole thing. We just don't know. This whole thing could get nasty at any time.
It could only be if we start attacking them.
Oh, well, that's happened in the past, hasn't it?
They could go on a global scale. They could attack everybody, couldn't they?
Oh, good God.
You're breaking up, Charles. You need to drop in and out. Yeah. Still, it's just a lot of talk here rather than facts, you know. So hard proof.
Don't know the facts, Paul. We just don't have the facts.
Yeah, that's what we want, though. We need something hard to come out soon.
We don't know what the motive is. So unless you know for a fact these guys are benevolent, you've got to treat it as something that has potential to be of harm. I think that's fair enough. And again, if you look at abductions, certainly against our laws,
but not against theirs, maybe.
You can't take people without consent.
Okay, we can hear you now, Charles. Better.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Yep. I think.
You have to prove it, though, don't you, that you've been abducted?
Exactly.
It's like if the police investigate like humans, they'll investigate that. But when you say an alien took me away, how the hell are the police going to investigate that?
Exactly. Yeah, something that's using the technology that we don't even understand.
Yeah.
But at least now, I know he's doing a lot of talking here, and he's not exactly saying that much. But you have to read between the lines.
Yeah.
I think they know full well that this abduction scenario is a real thing. They just can't put their finger on it.
Well, I don't think they had anything to do with this virus.
No, I don't think it's got anything to do with it.
I mean, if they wanted to wipe the people out, they could do it like that, couldn't they?
Of course they could, yeah.
Put a virus here and we couldn't even find anything to get rid of it.
I mean, let's face it, COVID, if you look at it, it's a damn nasty thing, and I'm not playing it down at all. But it's never going to wipe out humanity, is it?
No.
And I mean, it's. I think we're actually there's more people giving birth to every day than there's.
That's what the
COVID
problem
is. You know,
I think the Earth's population has got to come down because they're taking too much resources from the Earth, and eventually there's going to be nothing left.
But isn't it what the virus is doing? It's killing off the weak and the old.
Yeah, but it's not killing off people like normal. Like in the UK, we have the flu virus and the winter virus. It kills off more people then, doesn't it?
Yeah, and look at you're going to see a baby boom in the new year.
Yeah. It's not really as bad as the flu kill off though, because they're saying it's only like 1%, isn't it?
Oh, what do you mean, seasonal flu?
Yeah, winter flu. Yeah.
No, they're saying that this overall only 1% of the people die from it. The rest of them recover. Right, so.
More of the older people.
And of course, flu's always been hard to document in the past as well, stats-wise, because people don't report it, you see, or they don't go to the hospital or whatever, you know. So the stats are very flaky at the best, you know. I mean, we do know the flu does cool off a lot of old people. You know, anything that affects the lungs and breathing, it's going to have an impact.
Develops into pneumonia, isn't it?
Exactly, you know, and Google will be putting
COVID,
if COVID was
something man-made that was supposed to thin out the population, then it has to go down as an epic fail because it's not doing a very good job of that, is it?
No.
Yeah, I see people still not taking social distancing seriously, but if they kept to that, they kept to that and washed their hands more often, I think that would have a big impact, especially in UK and USA. New Zealand's pretty much not even seen it, you know.
Even in the UK now, though, it's being passed on now by more flu symptoms now, more easily.
Well, they reckon it's going to be like a regular flu shot, right? It's going to mutate all the time, and it'll be like added to the regular flu shot, you know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, we've got like 2 new strains in the UK at the moment.
Yeah. It's starting to cover the whole country slowly.
Yeah.
Well, if you watch the documentary they shared on Discord, the expert there says every time a virus is passed on, it's already mutated. So what's that tell you?
Mm-hmm. I think we're in this for the long haul, you know. But anyway, I think we've gone a bit off topic here.
Yeah, a bit way off.
Maybe the aliens is the virus. They're trying to communicate. But anyway, who's to say what scale aliens come in? You know, come on an asteroid in their atmosphere. Okay, just carry on.
Which seem to occur more often than one would believe. Is that why is it that we hear so seldomly about them? And is there any case you can tell us about?
Well, first of all, in the sky you can see. If something flies over your city, you can see it. The ocean is a little bit different. Much more than maybe 20, 30 feet, 40 feet in front of you, and it becomes inky blackness. There's not a whole lot to see in the ocean. So the ocean to a degree is far more mysterious than our own skies. In fact, a lot of scientists have said we know more about the moon than we do our own great ocean depths. And so the only way that we're going to know about our ocean depths is through our technology, and our usually the technology coming from our navies. They're the ones that are going to have the best capabilities to figure out what the heck is down there. Those capabilities are very sensitive. We don't like to talk about those capabilities because those same capabilities we can use to track a UAP may be the same capabilities we use to track a Russian submarine. For that reason, I think you don't really typically hear a whole lot. This is nothing new. The Navy never.
Oh shit! Paused it, did I?
Never likes to talk about its underwater capabilities. It's definitely one of the crown jewels, if you will, for our national security. So it's no surprise that the Navy is going to be very tight-lipped about talking about anything that's below the waves, and not just because of the enemy's capabilities, but our own capabilities. We don't want to broadcast or advertise we have the capability to do certain things. And that makes sense. And that's any nation. That's not us. That's also Germany. It's all over the world. We all have that in common. We don't want to broadcast any type of classified or secret capability because we don't want to compromise those capabilities because we're probably using them. So I think probably that's why.
Okay. You were talking about those extreme flight maneuvers of UAP, which defy our laws of physics, apparently. Is that also the case underwater? The objects that are being registered there, do they also show signs of, or do they have maneuvers or capabilities that we don't have underwater?
Yes, and that's very important because let's take this pen for a second. This pen is, let's say this pen is an airplane. And we as a human being, we design vehicles to operate in the environment for which they're going to be operating in. So an airplane, naturally, you have a nose, you have an engine, you have a tail, and you have a rudder and elevators and ailerons, so you can maneuver in an atmosphere. And that's why this pen looks fundamentally different and operates fundamentally different than, let's say, a rocket, which isn't going to be in the atmosphere for very long. It's going to spend most of its time in a low Earth orbit in a vacuum environment. So it doesn't need wings. It can't use a jet engine, doesn't have a cockpit. What it has is chemical rocket engines. It has thrusters to maneuver. And when you compare a rocket to a submarine, which is underwater, right? A submarine is neither an airplane or a rocket. It doesn't have a jet engine. It doesn't have a rocket engine. It has a propeller. And it uses buoyancy to go up and down. And so that's how it maneuvers. And so my point being is you don't expect an airplane to operate just as well underwater as a submarine, because they're two entirely different environments for which you need different technologies to operate. Now, there are some rare occasions where we can take an airplane and we can compromise an airplane and also make it a boat. We call them seaplanes. But a seaplane is neither a very good airplane nor is it a very good boat. It's always a design compromise if you want to operate in more than one environment. Well, these are things that we are seeing operating in our atmosphere and in our potentially low Earth environment and even underwater. Yet they can perform the same way that they do in other environments, but they haven't had to change their design characteristics. So that for us is a game changer. That is hugely important. What that would be like taking a Volkswagen car and all of a sudden now being able to let's say go climb Mount Everest with it, right? And then turn around and become a Formula One race car and win a Formula One race, and then turn around and maybe use it as a boat and take it on a vacation on a lake. You wouldn't expect that, and
Okay.
that's precisely what we're seeing.
Can you imagine that any military in the world would not be interested in acquiring this kind of technology?
Of course. This is why this is a military problem. The last thing you want to do is have this technology in the hands of an unfriendly country. You're absolutely correct. And that's another layer that complicates this entire topic, because there are very valid strategic and tactical advantages to this technology if you can acquire it.
Okay, my last question, and I promise it's the last one. What do you think would change for mankind if we really were to understand we are not alone? We have possibly never been alone. We may live on this planet together with some other species, or they may be visiting us. What do you think would happen on a society level, on a political level?
Well, first of all, we've already answered that question every day. First of all, we're not alone on this planet. Life is abundant on this planet. It's everywhere, and we're constantly discovering new species. Has that created any type of panic or discord? No, of course not. We're human beings. It is in our genetics to learn and to evolve. That is what we do as human beings. And so if we realize that there are other things on this planet other than the things that we already know, well, that's no real big surprise, because we're discovering new species all the time. The real question is, what happens when we realize we are not at the top of the food chain? What happens when we realize we are not the alpha species on this planet? Now, will that have an impact on our psyche? Well, possibly. Yes, it could. But then again, we're pretty resilient. And I think most of us realize there's a long way for mankind to go. If we were going to being some sort of cosmic or spacefaring species. We have a lot of evolving to do. We still are very selfish as a species. We still do things motivated by our human instinct, which isn't always good sometimes. So I think that question you're asking me is a question that really I would ask you to ask yourself, because I can't answer for you. I don't know what it would mean for you. I don't know what it would mean for your neighbor or mom or dad or your sisters or brothers or the rest of Germany or the rest of the world. I'm not in a position to answer that. I'm only in a position to answer from me and from my perspective, for me. And from my perspective, I think it would be a wonderful opportunity for us to potentially become less selfish and realize that the universe is far more expansive and more wonderful than we ever thought possible. And there should be hope in that scenario. Fear, maybe to some degree, because after all, we're humans. We do fear the unknown. And that's probably healthy. And it's probably a wise choice to go in a little bit cautious. But from my perspective, I think there's a whole lot of hope. I think it will help us really appreciate the enormity and beauty of this thing we call the universe and what it means to be human. Maybe we learn more about ourselves by learning more about something else. And maybe, frankly, we're all part in this together. Maybe if this is a species not from this planet, maybe they're just as curious about us as we are about them. And maybe there's an opportunity to collaborate and cooperate and learn, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yeah, it would be so wonderful. Thank you so much, Luis Elizondo, for this interview. I wish you all the best for all the projects that are coming up and a lot of success with them. Looking forward to the documentary you're planning. Thank you for being on the show.
My privilege. And thank you, by the way, for everything you do.
Okay, so why does he keep going on this guy's show? Why does he like this guy so much?
Oh, no. I mean, when he made the announcement that left TTSA, he was on Coast to Coast. Was it with George Norby? Or no, it was Knapp. So no, he's done a few interviews on a few different podcasts over the last week or two, but I chose this one because I felt that he said more in this interview than the others, if you like.
His body language, looking as he's telling the truth all the way.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, it's a guy that's trained in interrogation resistance, and so it's very difficult to tell. I'd love to see the behaviour panel take a look at Louise and see what they think of him, because they have people that are also have been involved in intelligence. So yeah, that would be quite interesting to see that. But no, I don't detect any signs of deception. The only thing I detect is he's being very cagey about what he lets go.
Or maybe he's only allowed to say so much and you get into trouble.
I think so, certainly, Charles. He's still got a security clearance, and there's one thing he doesn't want to do. He's got contacts at the Pentagon and in intelligence, and he doesn't want to go kooky on them and start talking aliens this and aliens that. I think he's telling us as much as he can for now.
Yeah. So they'd obviously be watching what he's saying as well.
Oh, yeah. You know, the last thing he wants to do is come over as some like a nut job, because he's going to end up losing his contacts.
Yeah.
And those people he has on the inside need to be nurtured carefully.
Yeah, that was good. That was.
It was a good interview, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so we got half an hour left.
Yeah.
If you want to keep on going.
To agree with you there. He is being a bit on the sneaky side. Yeah.
Would you be in his position?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, you'd be silly not to be, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
Especially high up in his job.
Yeah. You know, you just don't know. At some stage in his career, he might well go back into the intelligence community. So he doesn't want to burn all his bridges in the meantime, does he?
Whether he might say that when he retires is another thing, but then again, he might sign some official secrets thing.
Who knows?
Yeah. But the TV series though, he did make lots of mistakes there.
Yes.
Calling out of focus blobs of light UFOs that pilots photographs.
Yeah.
You know.
That's why they need somebody on the team that would have known straight off the bat that wasn't what they were saying, but they had nobody. Do you know what I mean? Even like if they had somebody maybe like a Richard Dolan on the side or William Poulin.
Dolan? He's no good at debunking.
Who?
I'll do it.
What they need to do is they need to stick it on the web and let everybody reply to it like us. That's the only way they're gonna be sure.
I know. I just wish they'd have someone on the inside that's been into this subject for decades.
No,
that's all I'm saying. Like, you know.
No, I don't think Dolan should be involved.
Maybe
hang
not.
Hang on, you're talking over each other.
Richard Dolan is a very intelligent guy, and he knows his UFO history, so he could be useful in that aspect.
Yeah. Well, I said Paul would be a good candidate.
Well, no, Paul's not a UFO historian, is he?
Yeah, but he'd soon tell you if it's a UFO or not.
Oh, you're talking photo and video analysis now.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you if it's a Batman balloon or not. Yeah, everybody seems to jump on the bandwagon on that one, though, didn't they? Yeah. So, why did they put up that balloon, though? That was a bad move, I think, by Tim, by putting up that balloon one. Sort of.
A lot of people have questioned him doing that. Yeah.
I think it was a publicity stunt on his part, but he did say it was a Milo balloon in the write-up, though, didn't he? So
yeah, he did, because people just looking at the picture and they didn't read the bloody article. If you read the article, you could see he's quite clearly saying this is probably a balloon.
Yeah, and it does put in question the other part of the story too, though. Until they release the photograph, it may end up being another balloon.
Of course it does. I mean, if this triangle doesn't come out now, it's just going to be
stupid, isn't it?
Frustrating for a lot of people. But no UFO researchers seen it. You know,
no, not yet.
But apparently Chris Mellon has come forward and said, yes, that photo does exist, and it's been doing the rounds in the Pentagon and the intelligence community.
Yeah, but is it the photo that we're seeing?
No, it's not. No, not the balloon one. We were talking about the one that's yet to be released. The one that's in the triangle, which apparently clearly shows lights on every point of the triangle. Anyway,
what has Dolan? What's Dolan done in the last year? Really, hasn't really been much at all, has it? Apart from possible disinformation,
bullshit about the Wilson leak, and he's kind of gone a bit quiet over that now, but he's still sticking to his guns and saying, "Look, that's a genuine document."
He has to now.
Yeah, of course, he's committed himself, hasn't he? But I think that was a big judgment on his behalf, to be honest. It's done him no favours, that's because just no way of confirming it, is there?
He tried to bring up UFO cases and debunk the debunkers, but that didn't go down very well. Because he did include my analysis on Dr. Lear's stuff, and of course his wife has blocked me from his channel, so I can't comment on anything now. So when people block you for making critical comments, you do have to worry about what their motive is, and he certainly was getting a lot of donations on the side there. Look at us, we've not had a donation in probably a couple of months now, is it? And yet I saw Goofon got $200 yesterday, and his show was total boringness, wasn't it? Garbage. So
the same person.
If you talk garbage, people will donate to you, I guess. But I don't know. They're wasting their money on him anyway. What's he going to do with it? Build another computer that doesn't really improve his live stream because he doesn't know how to customize the software on it properly or tune it.
Smoke it up,
Mr. Green. More and more if I see these frauds working with frauds and promoting each other, it just makes me more mad and sick, really, and it's going to drag it down ufology even further. And especially when they're calling themselves entertainment, and 99% of us, or 90% of us maybe, don't see it as entertainment. We're not after entertainment, we're after the truth.
Yeah. People are going now for real information. That entertainment label is a really handy get-out clause, isn't it?
Yeah.
For peddling bullshit.
Mm.
And let's face it, people go to Goof on Radio, people went to third phase of the moon, people went, or still go to third phase, people went to Tyler, they were looking for facts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they never got any.
And they were peddling bullshit.
Yeah.
And the ones that defended them always say it's entertainment. You can't win. It's a bit sad.
I know. Well, there's nothing much you can do about these people.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just like Goof on and Saw Radio that are peddling bullshit. There's a million channels out there that are putting up.
There's new ones coming onto the scene too, with Generation Emma's running it. Alien Girl 111 is another one that's popping up now, hanging around on the fraud channels. It's just endless.
Well, you can't fight them all, Paul.
No, you can't.
We can try.
Yeah, we keep putting out the real information and make people critical think.
Yeah, this is my whole point. There's plenty of good cases out there. Plenty. Without listening to that garbage.
More balloon videos or crazy volcano UFOs.
The thing that makes me sick is that all these people just believe everything that comes out of their mouths.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when we come along and do this sort of stuff, they don't like it. Well, they're just not interested in
we break their world view and the fantasy, right? But we are believers though, and that's the thing. They just watch like 5 minutes or something and think, oh yeah, I'm not interested in that channel. But instead of just sticking with it and just watching a few episodes and actually seeing that there is actually some good cases out there which are not debunkable, and you won't hear on the fraud channels and all that, and you get more credible people coming to people like me with real cases. Earl Grey is an example. He comes to our channel and releases some photographs and documents that no one else has seen on the internet, and they miss out on all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And probably we'll catch up with Earl Grey in this new year coming up, so we'll see what else he brings forward. But when you got people, these entertainers attacking MUFON and trying to take the place of MUFON, it's laughable at best, saying that they investigate properly and question properly and all this, when we know it's total nonsense. They don't even ask the basic information: time, date, location, direction, looking, and all that sort of stuff. So by saying that there's no UFO experts is also wrong. All these entertainment channels keep using that as the excuse. There is. MUFON are trained. They do exams and they work with a mentor to make sure. They work with a mentor to make sure that they're closing cases properly and using the apps and all that. So there are experts in investigating using the tools, right? To a certain degree. They're not going to be know-it-alls and know what aliens are and all that, but they're going to know how to, do research and investigate things. So when people say they're no experts, then you shouldn't be listening to them. I'm an expert in video analysis and maybe a few other things, right? And I actually got qualifications as well. You know, these guys haven't got qualifications. They're high school dropouts, most of them, and they've done a few papers afterwards and tried to get into whatever jobs they wanted to, and got nowhere, right? Then they start up their own, what is it, window washing company? You know, anyone could do that. Yeah, so you're calling these guys experts because they released a few balloons and filled it with VHS tape and different cameras. You know, did they put a GPS tracker on it and see how far they go and what altitude they get to? Nah. Because that's all modern technology now. You can do that with modern technology. You can do it with your smartphone, right? You can log it as it's going up.
Yeah, I've seen some put GoPros on some balloons, haven't they, and sent them up and filmed it all the way up and back.
Of course, all of them get at certain heights. They don't always go to the same height and then pop, whatever.
And then you've got to find it then when it comes back down.
Yeah.
Tracker on it, you're stuck.
Yeah. Depends size of the balloon, thickness of it, if it's latex, mylar. But you know how light mylar is, you know, it's going to go up pretty damn fast. And if it's one of these ones that are designed with lots of glued seams and it's fairly thick material, or double seams on it, it could go up to a fair distance, right? And we've covered that in the past, you know, we've looked up scientific, where people have actually analysed this and put GPS trackers on, and so it goes up to 20,000 feet. But when you got four channels saying, oh, that's only going to go up to 1,000 feet, they don't know. You know, it's just guesswork.
One of them was an expert.
I just find it frustrating. We always research things there and then, right? To see if there's any new information just come out that we don't know about, you know. How far do mylar balloons? And then someone may have an article out saying now these type of ones go to 30,000 feet. And, you know, it's always changing, so you've got to keep on it. You can't just go, oh, I did it 20 years ago. And like me, I'm always retooling, relearning the applications, right? So if something comes out better than what I'm using, I'll learn it and use it. Some of the stuff you've seen is command line. You know, I do video processing with command line. No mouse there. And you just got to know what you're doing, you know.
I don't think Goof on knows what he's doing that stuff. You'd be lost.
Yeah, I'd run around circles on him, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
But yeah, it just makes me mad when you got those people attacking us when we're actually trying to bring common sense to the whole damn business, right? And
yeah, okay, Paul, but you got to understand, if you're attacking them, they're going to attack back, aren't they?
But I'm not attacking them. I'm exposing their flaws.
Yes, but they will see that back.
No, they see that as attacking their income revenue, right? That's the difference.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, they're attacking me. Well, I don't make any money out of this damn stuff. And the little I do make, generally given away as well. And yeah, it's all out of my own pocket, really, most of the stuff I've done here.
Truth channel.
That's right.
Well,
you know. But I don't do character
them.
assassinations, you know. I'm not constantly mocking them. Although I could, you know. I actually look at the video and analyse the video if you ever watch the live streams. But when you listen to them dribbling on absolute crap about what they're seeing, and you can start to see patterns in what they're saying, you know, they always have this. It's almost scripted, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
You know, Blake will ask Brent, "What do you think?" And he'll say, "Oh yeah, this is the best footage I've seen in a while." You know, so how many times have we heard that?
Oh, I know.
What's that, Charles?
Oh, well.
I said it's every single time.
Yeah. It's the same. It's the same sort of script, you know. Yes, this annoys me. Makes me sad too, you know, because we have the passion for this topic. It's not about money, but we do need better gear, you know, to keep up with. You know, we want to be able to do 4K streams at once at some stage. But we're just going to have more cores. You know, I'm not using big noisy desktops. Now, if you listen to, if you amp up their sound, you can hear all the fan noises on their setups. The noise cancellation is only good to a certain degree, right? My fan here is not too loud at all on the laptop. It's actually quite good. But yeah, I must admit, since that Windows update, I haven't heard any clicking sounds. I think we've got a wee bit more CPU back again. I think Windows introduced bugs in the last 6 months with those updates, right? And now they've fixed it again, I think. Fingers crossed. Yeah. So yeah, it's not about hating other channels. It's about correcting their mistakes, really. Often people say, "Oh, you're doing it, attacking them back for revenge." No, we're just trying to educate them. By punishing them, they lose their income, then they change their ways, right? So they don't start doing the character assassinations, you know, and you know, mocking their voices all the time.
To those who hate the truth, and that's the way it'll always be in any subject.
Yeah.
Any doctrine.
Yeah.
Any political viewpoint, any religious viewpoint. The truth is
the key is the key is always keeping it professional, which means it's not entertainment. Because if it's entertainment, then you're acting the fool in front of the camera for people to have a laugh and giggle at, right? We're more serious, so yeah, they might think we're boring, but it's like going to college, and you don't have a lecturer at the front of the theatre going, "Eee, push the button, push the button, push the button." You know, you'd walk out the lecture theatre, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But you might want to go there to have a good laugh in a lunch break. Look at this mental lecturer, maybe, but then he'd be classed as entertainment, not actually knowledgeable person. you see what I mean? It's I wish people would see what I mean, but I don't think they will.
What Goofon has done towards us, I mean, now he's attacking the individual, rather than attack the content, because he can't attack the content because the content is good. So he takes the mick out of Charles. He calls me furry faced Bigfoot dog buttocks, which I found hilarious. Didn't bother me whatsoever. I know he's had his attacks on you, but if he attacked the content, I would actually pay some attention and see what he's saying and make my own argument. You know, if I'd made a mistake somewhere, if I'd said something that was factually wrong, or he didn't agree with my opinion, then I'd take notice and I'd address that. But when people are taking the mick out of how you look and how you sound, that is desperate.
Yeah.
That is low.
Below the belt.
Yes.
And that's what UFO Joe said as well. If you've been following me on Twitter.
Yeah.
It's not professional.
No, it's not. It's not.
And Third Phase of the Moon are just using the guy, right? They're using him as a mouthpiece, and same with Dave Scott. He's just the mouthpiece. Because Dave Scott wants to be nice to everybody, so they go on his show. Goofon, on the other hand, is the one...
He hasn't done that, has he, Paul? He hasn't. He just hasn't done that.
Done what?
I mean, okay, I'll tell you something. Yeah, William Poulin has said this publicly anyway, so I'm okay to repeat that. It's in the public domain. William Poolin was hanging out with a girl called Nicole Sakach. Yeah, they were working together on a professional basis, I mean now. Okay? So anyway, there was a fallout between Nicole and William doesn't know what that fallout was about, by the way. But what did Dave Scott do? He embraced her. Now that is kind of like your mates going out with your ex-girlfriend. It's just not fun, is it?
Yeah.
You see what I mean? And that has they've had a proper fallout now. That and there's a lot of people cheesed off with Dave Scott at the moment, I can tell you. And Goofon's antics are not helping him at all.
No, he needs to cut ties with that clown. That's for sure.
Yeah,
if he wants to be taken seriously, and he's got to stop saying. Yeah, he's got to stop using the entertainment tag as well.
Yeah, it's too late for him now.
Well,
you have people talking like that Keith Andrews, you know, the guy that's taken out, I don't know how many, 14, 15 aliens, some by decapitation, some by hand-to-hand combat.
That guy's a nut job, isn't he?
Come on, that's absolutely ridiculous. He's promoting a fraud there because that guy has got his own channel and he's making money from it.
Yeah. I don't know if he's a fraud as such or a mental. It's a bit hard to tell. But he wanted to kill Goofon. Yeah, he was saying that it might kill Goofon or something, wasn't he, on that interview with him? So they better watch out because he lives in the same country as them. Well, Goofon is probably closer to him than the Canada guy. But still, there are nut jobs. There are nut jobs in ufology, right? But there are also scammers as well. Just tell a good UFO story.
Yeah, I can actually forgive naivety. You know, if someone's pushing a narrative that they actually believe in, whether it happens to be bullshit or not, I can forgive that if that's what they believe. But when someone's deliberately trying to deceive, and this is what's happening here with a lot of these channels, then that's an entirely different ball game.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Although he was talking about out-of-body stuff and all that. So, you know, there are some aspects of reincarnation where it can't be explained and you see life from the past. But I don't think you could see life in the future. But certainly in the past, it kind of makes sense. If knowledge is stored in the environment and atoms somehow, and some people can recall it somehow. You just can't discount it completely. You know, some people may have the brain structure that sort of interfaces with it somehow, and they can pull out information out of thin air, so to speak. But or when they're in close proximity to someone that's got the atoms where the information is stored. So there could be some real science to it all. But this guy, Ken, was clearly a nut job on Goofon's show anyway. He sort of sabotaged Goofon. It was hilarious. He took over the whole show apparently. He had call in thing. Instead of just hitting accidentally disconnected you button. So that's the problem with having open lines. But still you can control the situation, right? If the guy was effing and swearing and threatening harm, how dare you insult my Indian mates or whatever, and they're coming after you or whatever, you know, you can sort of say, well, goodbye. Thanks for calling. But I see he did a big mock-up after it though, which probably is a bad thing to do for Goofon. He edited it all out and tried to make a bit of fun of it. I don't think you should mock people that got mental problems. He may have a mental. It just makes them worse. But of course, what you're saying is they're having him on their shows. They're bringing more publicity to him, and in the process using him at the same time, which is just not on. We've got to be sensitive to mental problems out there. Although he may have had some real experience and he went off the deep end, a lot of people do.
But even the sane people have mental problems at times, though, don't they?
Absolutely.
You can be pushed and you can be triggered, right? Everybody's capable of it. There's only so much you can take before you snap, and grab a machine gun and start going hell Mary at everything.
Well, that's what I was saying about Goofon. What I could have done with him.
Yeah.
No, I don't let people like that get in my head, Charles. It's not worth it.
Yeah, well, I'm new to this. You've been into it. You and Paul been into it for a while.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've been into it for a few months.
Oh, I can tell you now, ufology isn't the nice place that you might think it is from.
I'm getting to know that now.
Yeah, it's a cruel world,
Yeah.
No, we don't always agree, but we certainly wouldn't be character assassinating each other over it. It's just ridiculous.
No. The difference of opinion is one thing, but to go, slating somebody because they don't happen to share the same opinion as you is ridiculous, childish, immature, imbecile. You can call it every damn thing you want. It's not productive.
Kicked off the channels. They shouldn't have the channel. YouTube and Google just ban them.
But I see it on UFO groups every single day. I check through the groups every day, see what's new and see what's happening. And I see people being cut to pieces because they've, naively brought up something which is a balloon, thinking it was a UFO, and they get absolutely shot to bits.
Yeah.
Just because you've made a mistake doesn't mean to say you should be called a retard.
Well, you got to remember, a lot of our group also used to follow a lot of these people until they looked at what I was doing, and some of them don't accept it and go on their way, but most of them eventually agree that they have been conned, or they didn't understand enough what they were looking at. Now they do, and they stick with us, right? How many people come from Third Phase of the Moon? How many people come from Tyler following, right?
I came from that. I watched that for a little while.
Oh.
And then after a few weeks, I was beginning to question some of the stuff on it. And then after a while, I got to realise, this is rubbish. Then I went over and watched the odd bits, and I watched UFO Man. I watched him for a little while, and then I got to realise he was a lot of crap. Excuse my language. Then I found
you saw my comment, did you? You saw my comment on UFO Man come over to mine. So that's how it's done. People got to post comments around and say, if you want to get the answers, go and check out this guy,
I never stuck with you ever since.
But I don't say I know it all, but that's why I have guests on, to give their opinions on things, right? And that's why we have you on the side there, because you see something I've missed, or bad eyes, whatever, which does get in the way of things, but eventually, hopefully, that will get fixed at some stage with me. But with all this C19,
I make mistakes. You fix them. You make mistakes. I fix them. You know what I mean? It bounces off each other. Same as off Robert. It bounces from us all.
Well, because you're learning off me, you're becoming more of a good researcher now, you see. So you go and research if there's any airports with balloons, blimps, or whatever, and you know what to look for now, really.
When I get the time, I've got the time, admit, with the stuff I'm doing for you.
Well, you know how busy I am researching between live shows.
Exactly how much goes into making a show. It is just absolutely ridiculous what you have to do to make these shows up.
Yeah. People don't realise. They don't realise what happens behind the scenes. But we do. I do a live presentation on Discord with Charles, showing him what I look at and all the stuff I've got to watch. It. You know, I know Robert watches stuff and he brings it to us on Sunday, which I haven't got time to watch. But I eventually do get time to watch it. But sometimes it ends up being a skim watch. You know, skim. Because you got to use your time wisely to be able to keep up with it. Because there's so much in ufology, you don't need to show birds flying in the sky or balloons. You just don't need it. There's just too much stuff out there already, you know. Unless you're going to
show never finished anyway, because you got a lot of stuff to do for that show.
Well, unless you want to go through the process like we do of saying, well, here's the case, this is the information we've got, what tools can we use to verify that it's not something mundane or airplane or whatever. Use it as a teaching example, so more people watch that, then they realize to use the apps on the phone. And you know a fraud when you see one now. They don't use the apps, right? They don't have screen snaps off the snaps saying, "Oh, I looked on here and here's the flight path on that particular time and date, and there's nothing in the sky." You know, if you don't see any of that on a presentation, that they haven't done the research. They haven't submitted to MUFON even. There's no mention. You know, that guy that was flicking his hands, that third phase, and Dr. Greer were promoting. He was using some sort of magician trick with probably some talcum powder and a false fingertip, and just flicking his fingers and some talc would come out and he'd be filming it on his iPhone. You know, you could see how he was doing it. But you got to have the mindset, you got to have the critical thinking, and you got to understand a wee bit on tricks and how magicians do things, and and I know a wee bit of everything, sort of, because I've done it, and yeah, these guys know they're faking it, and they're just conning lots of people and trying to make lots of money from them. Dr. Greer, he's all about the money. Come on.
Yeah.
No doubt about it, right? He's meant to be a doctor. Doctors could be, I know most doctors I know are working long hours, right? They don't have much time to themselves. Although they get 15 minutes per patient and thing, they work long hours. And they also have to visit hospitals in between as well on the weekends and stuff, catch up with patients that went into hospital.
I don't think he is involved in that work anymore.
No.
I think he is living full-time off ufology now.
Yeah.
And of course, he wants between 40 and 80 million for his free energy device, which doesn't exist. He hasn't even shown us the prototype. He's only told us about it. It's just a big laugh and a joke, but there's so many people you see them on UFO groups that still take Greer's
seriously
money at face value. And it's really disturbing that there's so many people in the UFO field that just lack any kind of critical thinking whatsoever. It's sad and it's frustrating.
Yeah, but they're grabbing the new generation that's coming through now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So they haven't seen any real stuff, and they're grabbing all these and just brainwashing them now.
Yeah, yeah.
But anyways, we've gone 3 hours now.
We'll leave it there.
Okay. I've got a 6-minute audio. No, sorry, it's 8 minutes and 40 seconds. Remember the 2006 O'Hare UFO incident? Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they've eventually released the FAA audio tapes on this. So I haven't heard it myself. I haven't had time. But it's only 8 minutes long if you want to finish off with this, Paul. It's up to you.
Go for it.
Yeah?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I just want to recap some things here, talking about third phase. We did actually look at their live hoaxing events, because back in the day I was using older Hangouts on Air, and I had some screen snapshots in high res, and I put it through my new analysis, because back then I was pretty new to understanding what to do and look at, and we could see that they were actually filming through a window. So which episode was that one on? Because I don't think anyone bothered watching it. Charles, can you remember which the front image was?
Wasn't long ago, was it?
No, it wasn't long ago, but people weren't joining us and they're missing out. Also, I looked at the Trent photographs and overlaid the truck mirror and stuff, and see what you think, what we concluded from that. Well, worth checking it out. Here's one of them there, and there's another one down here. But yeah, which one was third phase one? Let's see, midweek, was it? Paul and Charles killing the noise. Was it on that one?
I'll look through some of the third phase stuff.
Or was it the one before? I think it was after Bruce anyway, wasn't it? I think it might have been on this one here, Killing the Noise, part 2. Let's have a look. Also, I just want to mention that Charles is doing some good work, and we're using the new chapter system. So here's one of the episodes here, but if you get the player, it's got a little arrow down here. We know we got chapters, so if you click on that, it gives you the thumbnails at those locations too. But there's all our topics in that 3-hour string. So if you just want to skip past all the general chat, you can now, and jump onto the first topic, or topic on other stuff. Planes with dark contrails, and goof on second space UFO. NASA footage. Was it on that one? I can't see it on that one. Door cam. Don't think it's on that one. But that's what I mean. It comes up handy now to just look at the chapters on the YouTube here. But it won't be on today's show until tomorrow when Charles does it and I update it. Was it on this one here? Third phase hoaxing. Here it is. It's on this one here. A recap. Have we got chapters on that one? We got no chapters on that one. How come we got no chapters?
I've not a chance to do everything yet.
Yeah, I know.
I've done 15, 20 so far.
Yeah, I think it's here somewhere though. Here it is here. Going over it again in more detail. What they were up to. So I'll just post the link to it anyway. And you heard people say you can't prove they hoaxed anything. Well, I think I have. And it's up to them to prove otherwise, right? Can they go on a lie detector test? Can they show us the emails they receive from people on some of the old cases, like they claim? Some of those car part ones they've got. They're still playing, by the way. They're still playing some of those old CGIs. Third phase hoaxing. Looked at.
I'll get the chapters done for tonight, and I'll do that one as well tomorrow.
Okay, it's in the side chat now.
Okay.
So you should be able to find it when I pin it to the thing. Okay, so I think it's worth mentioning the chapters in the new chapter format. So we've still got loads of work to do and backlog of stuff. But now we're on now we got the process in place that Charles is watching. He's making note of the times that we change topics. and writing down a little title, what it's meant to be there, and it will look at the one I make and make modifications to it. So yeah, it's sort of coming together, but there's a lot of work for the guy. Okay, we got a link to go from Robert, have we?
Yes. Okay. So the O'Hare incident, this is the actual transcript, the audio tapes from that fateful day. Now, I haven't listened to this myself, so I don't know what's coming, okay?
Mm-hmm. Let's get rid of that one. Makes it slowing down. Audio tapes, let's hope they're not copyrighted. Let's see, it's not letting me select it for some reason. Okay, now it is. Yeah, let's just see if it works.
So you got it.
Who put it out there, by the way? He's got 28k followers almost.
Yeah, it's redacted.
Right. So when were these released?
This week.
December. I wonder who got hold of it then.
I don't know.
Okay, is there an intro on this? Probably.
I think it's saying here it's the basement office that got it first.
Tower, this is Dave. Hey, Dave, it's Sue from United Tower. Hey, did you see a flying disc out by C-17? Oh, don't even start, Sue.
Hang on, is that loud enough? It's pretty low, isn't it?
That's a bit low.
I'll just boost it up and watch the screen here.
You're seeing flying discs. Well, that's what the pilot and the ramp guys are telling us. The C-17, they saw some flying disc above, and we can't see above us. Come on, Sue. You didn't see it, right? You guys been celebrating the holidays already over there, or what? You having a Christmas party today? I have
terrible audio.
And if I did, I wouldn't admit to it. No, I have not seen any flying disc at Gate C-17. Unless you got a new aircraft you're bringing out today that we don't know about.
It needs my handiwork on it really to bring up that tinny noise there, but anyway.
No, I have not seen anything, so.
Oh. Yeah, that's what I was thinking that might happen. Might be too loud now, you see.
International airport. Multiple witnesses, including airline pilots, supervisors, and mechanics, claimed to have seen a UFO hovering over United Airlines Gate C-17. It was described as a disc, or in more common terms, a flying saucer. News of the incident quickly spread.
There's this story you may have already heard about. United Airlines employees who swear it was something otherworldly in the skies above Chicago's O'Hare Airport on November 7th.
Several airport workers, some of whom have talked to the Chicago Tribune, who say they saw a saucer-shaped UFO.
They saw one, a UFO. They say it hovered over a terminal without lights before shooting straight up right through the clouds last fall.
You might think that only 5 years after 9/11, reports of a flying object trespassing over highly restricted and highly sensitive airspace would be met with an overwhelming response by the government. But you'd be wrong. At the time, both United Airlines and the Federal Aviation Administration told the press they didn't feel it necessary to investigate the incident at all. It wasn't until journalists and independent investigators started filing Freedom of Information Act requests that they finally admitted they had looked into the O'Hare UFO incident, but had determined that it could have been simply a weather phenomenon, a trick of light reflecting off the clouds. One group that filed Freedom of Information Act requests was the National Aviation Reporting Center on Anomalous Phenomenon, or NARCAP. Official FAA Freedom of Information Act logs show that NARCAP had requested FAA radio communications from Chicago O'Hare during the alleged UFO sighting. This audio was indeed released, and within a very detailed 152-page report, NARCAP printed a transcript of this audio. However, beyond the transcript, not many people have heard the actual audio. After an extensive search, we have obtained the audio of radio communications between United Airlines and the FAA at Chicago O'Hare International Airport on the afternoon of November 7th, 2006.
No, I have not seen anything, so. Alright. If I do, I don't know what I'll do. If I see it, I guess I'll back it up with you, but no, I'll keep an eye out. Alright, bye. Alright, there. Well, here, Tower, Dwight.
Dwight?
Yes.
What happened to Dave? Did he have to take a break because I called him?
No.
This is Sue from United.
Yes?
Dude, there was a disc out there flying around.
There was a what?
A disc.
A disc? Can you hang on 1 second?
Sure, Dwight.
Okay, I'm sorry. What can I do for you now?
Alright. I told Dave there was a disc flying outside above Charlie 17, and he thought I was pretty much high. But, I'm not high and I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Someone actually has a picture of it, so if you guys see it out there.
A disc? Like a frisbee?
Like a UFO type thing.
Yeah, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
I have a picture of it.
How high above Charlie 17?
Well, it was above our tower. So, if you happen to see anything...
You know what? I'll keep a peeled eye for
Not
that.
taking it seriously.
Didn't say you had a photo.
Tower Cab, this is Dave.
Hey, Dave, Roger, United Agency.
Yeah, Roger.
I got an interesting one for you, Dave, here. Some of our employees, I don't know if you heard anything about this, some of our pilots on the ground were reporting a UFO sighting at 1,000 feet from the seaside of the airport. Did you guys hear anything about that?
You know what? The ramp tower called me, I want to say about 10, 15 minutes ago. We have not seen anything up there.
Okay.
Because she said it was right around gate C-17.
Okay.
But, I mean, and since she called, I've been looking, but we have not seen anything.
Okay.
You know, I mean, if we do, oh well, I guess, you know.
Well, no, I was just wondering, maybe we'll have to give him C7 right.
Yeah, I know.
It's funny how some don't see it and some do, though.
But, no, we have not seen anything, but we will surely keep an eye out, that's for sure.
Thank you very much.
No problems.
Yeah, do you want to pause it there, Paul?
Yeah, some see it and some don't. It's kind of strange.
Yeah. No, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you what happened. The people in the tower, those towers, they had like a roof over their head, don't they?
Mm.
Yeah, it was directly above the tower, so they couldn't see it.
No.
Yeah.
Ceiling above them.
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they should have stepped outside then, had a look.
Yeah,
I'm
but
not
they
sure if
can't
they
leave their control area. You can
walking around now, isn't it? They're not all.
Yeah, they should have had a roof camera looking up.
yeah, that would have been good.
Mm. But I thought some people were walking outside too, like baggage handlers and stuff.
So I said, didn't that say she took a picture of it?
That's what I thought I heard.
Yeah, she did say that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but all the baggage handlers seen it because they were on the ground. They weren't limited by the roof of the tower.
Mm. Or we can play it again, maybe.
Ground Gateway 5668, send the penalty box, ready to go to the North Port.
Gateway 5668, you can use Alpha to North Port and use caution for the UFOs.
Alpha to the North Port, we'll take a look. United Maintenance 44.
Okay, it's 44, thank you. All right. 44 is going around the North Port. Excellent. You got Eagle and SkyWest over here coming around this way. He's turning in no back, so you really got no other gate holds. All right. Somebody reported a UFO or a flying disc above Charlie Concourse, seriously.
Excellent.
Yeah. So nobody can see it, but use caution. All right. And that's pretty much it. Gateway 5668.
5668, go ahead.
Yeah, look out your window. Do you see anything above United's concourse? They actually, believe it or not, they called us and said somebody observed a flying disc about 1,000 feet above the gate Charlie 17. You see anything over there?
Not that I can tell.
Okay. Yeah, I thought my job was stressful.
We saw it a half hour ago.
Who saw it?
A whole bunch of us over at the Charlie Concourse.
Really? You guys did? Who's this?
Oh.
The United Taxi Mechanics. Thought it was a balloon, but we're not sure.
We reached out to United Airlines in the FAA for comment. United Airlines states, "We don't have anything to share on this one," and referred us to the FAA. We reached out to the FAA with a list of questions. They responded with this one statement. As for the reports on that day, the controllers in the tower at O'Hare reported no unknown aircraft, and nothing unusual was detected on radar. No further investigation was conducted. When we pointed out that both FAA logs and radio communications did in fact document reports of an unknown disk in the sky, and asked whether the FAA still stands by their statement that the UFO could have simply been a weather phenomenon, the FAA responded, "We won't be going beyond the statement you received."
There was a disc flying outside above Charlie 17, and he thought I was pretty much high. But I'm not high and I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Someone actually has a picture of it, so if you guys see it out there,
A disc? Like a frisbee?
like a UFO type thing.
Whereabouts does she mention the photograph?
She just said there was just taking a picture of it.
She said, yeah, was it?
Yeah, it was. It was.
No, she was giggling, so
Yeah. She said she was taking a picture of it.
it was on the intro, wasn't it, too? He had the words up.
It was about 2 minutes in.
Tower, this is Dave.
Hey Dave, it's Sue from United Tower.
Hey, Sue.
Hey, did you see a flying disc out by C-17?
Oh, don't even start, Sue.
No,
You're seeing flying discs.
well, that's what the pilot and the ramp guys are telling us. The C-17, they saw some flying disc above it. We can't see above us.
Come on, Sue.
You didn't see it, right?
You guys been celebrating the holidays already over there, or what? You having a Christmas party today? I have not seen anything, Sue. And if I did, I wouldn't admit to it. No, I have not seen any flying disc at gate C7. Unless you got a new aircraft you're bringing out today that we don't know about. No, I have not seen anything, Sue.
What he said there is, even if he did, he wouldn't admit to it.
Yeah, exactly, because of the ridicule attached to the subject, to the topic. It's always been that way. It's just not a good career move to talk about it, you know. And that's why a lot of sightings go undetected, never make it into the public arena.
I guess I'll back it up with you, but no, I'll keep an eye out.
All right, bye.
All right, there.
Jeez.
I heard Tower, Dwight.
Dwight,
Yes.
what happened to Dave? Did he have to take a break because I called him?
No.
This is Sue from United.
Yes.
Dude, there was a disc out there flying around.
There was a what?
A disc.
A disc? Can you hang on 1 second?
Sure, Dwight.
Okay, I'm sorry. What can I do for you now?
All right. I told Dave there was a disc flying outside above Charlie 17, and he thought I was pretty much high. But I'm not high and I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Someone actually has a picture of it, so if you guys see...
Something of a
Well,
picture.
what was that?
Yeah, it went really quickly, didn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not drinking, not high.
I'm not high and I'm not drinking.
Yeah.
Someone actually has a picture of it. So where's that picture? Or what is it? Is it one of those pictures that were actually debunked as a smudge on the window or something? So she hasn't got a picture of it. Someone. Who's the someone? Really, they need to track down this woman and interview her. So yeah.
I would imagine that. Yeah, but do you think now? Yeah, that this audio transcript has just been released this week, and we never knew up until now there was a picture, did we?
No. Been released or got out?
I think it was a FOIA request. No, it's not leaked. they've obviously fired the FAA,
Yeah.
and they've got hold of this, but we don't know if it's been edited either, do we?
So if she knows about someone's got picture, you bet the government knows about it and got hold of that picture, and now it's been suppressed.
Yeah.
Anyway, we won't carry on anymore. We got listened to most of it there.
No.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah, I just need to go over that picture bit because it was really quick, and yeah, it was well worth going back over it. Look, good to hear picking up there, Charles.
Yeah, it was some enjoyable content tonight, Charles.
Yeah, it was good.
He likes our shows, every show.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, you do. And Kendo. Kendo's there helping out.
I did like something, I'd tell you.
Well, everybody carry on with their season holidays, I guess, if you're getting holidays. So be safe on the roads, yeah, and got New Year's Day coming up next, so yeah, we'll be on next weekend again, I guess. Not too sure about a midweek, we'll see how we go. But we got lots of projects on, haven't we? Charles can confirm that that we're working on. So
one special.
Yeah.
Everybody will love.
Yes.
Doing it.
Yeah.
Even I'll tune in for that one.
Good.
So yeah, I'll just kick off the.
Better tune in for the reaction as well, because there'll probably be a reaction to it.
Oh yes.
Yeah. We got some good. We got some good graphics together. Well, we spent a couple of hours making it anyway. Anyway, just going to do the end credits and let everybody get on their way. We did have like a constant viewer rate of about 5 watching, so that's good. Just a shame they don't like the live debunks as much, but yeah. Check yesterday's one. It was about crop circles and Linda Moulton Howe making a big blunder. Also, the one before. What's the one before? And of course, I've put a lot of links on the side there. Go and watch them all. That's all I can say. They're really good. The links I've provided. And the third phase hoaxing. See what you think of my analysis there, and if you agree. Okay, good night all, and here we go.
Have a happy New Year to everybody.
Yes,
yeah, happy New Year and season greetings.
See you guys.
CPU's peeking up here. The Matrix is shutting down for another weekend.
I'm going out. Right, guys.
Hey, Charles. Good night.
Paul.
See ya, mate. See ya.
See you, Charles.
Happy New Year. We'll see you online anyway.
Yep.
Hopefully it's happy. It's not been a really good 2020, has it? Well, CPU's mixed out a wee bit at the moment. Always does when you're playing video over a layer.